when he graduated from a teaching college and swore off the profession entirely. Instead, he took the civil service exam and secured a steady government job. But on his first day, stepping inside, the world folded out from under him. Once he finished sorting through the memories of his new body, he sat in silence. It seems fate had cornered him with remarkable thoroughness. His high school classmates called him teacher because he tutored half the arts class. His university roommates called him teacher, too, for the exact same reason. He dodged a teaching career for a government job, only to end up teaching. Specifically, his brand new official post is at the Ninja Academy of Kata. This new body is named Kazami Mugetsu, but the name he thinks of first is still Tsukishi. That was his name in his past life. Glancing around, the office feels eerily familiar. There are pencil cups, lesson plans, rice paper, and typical bureaucratic clutter. The only odd note is the sharp kunai resting carelessly on a nearby desk. It politely reminds him that the students here will one day carry weapons. They will carry them to kill each other, but transmigration is not the worst part. This new body is an orphan, raised by the Shadow Branch since childhood. Ganzo handed him this teaching post specifically to spy on the students and find geniuses. The so-called pot shogun has his hand wrapped around Mugetsu's throat from day one. While he is still figuring out how to survive in this lethal place, a flat voice stirs. A mechanical voice echoes inside his head, and a transparent blue panel unfurls. The teacher system has activated. He has officially and successfully become an instructor. He can earn rewards by lecturing students, especially the highly outstanding ones. The more brilliant they are, the richer the rewards. He can take on personal disciples. He receives major rewards as his personal disciples grow in strength. But there is a small catch. Apprenticeship requires mutual recognition. The bond cannot be forced upon them one-sidedly. Opening his personal status template, he reads his stats. Kazami Mugetsu, age 18. He has 4,300 chakra, alongside the basic three-body technique. Fire Release Great Fireball and Fire Release Phoenix Sage Fire technique. He also knows the Flash Step technique and Kata-style Taijutsu. The system evaluates him as a Chunin elite, but merely high-quality war fodder. That harsh evaluation stings, so he closes the template. The disciple menu remains blank. He needs disciples immediately. When the school bell rings, he prepares to head out. It is time for first period, so he tucks his papers under his arm. He has somehow been assigned a freshman homeroom class, despite being brand new. The roster looks like a cheat sheet, containing Midori Eiko, Hajinoa, and Kamezuka. These future gatekeepers of Kata are all here. When Kagami Shinji's name appears, his eyes light up on their own, a disciple who will one day summon a spirit titan with a single eye is the exact gold mine he needs. He puts on a warm teacher smile. He steps inside with that look, the noisy room of 5- and 6-year-olds. Falls into wary silence at a grown ninja's arrival. The seats are tiered upward in rows so even the back row can see. A little girl in the front row breaks the hush. She has a purple ponytail and absolutely no hesitation. She asks brightly if this handsome big brother is really going to be their new teacher. Mugetsu smiles, confirming that yes, he will indeed be their homeroom teacher from today. The boy breaks into a proud little smile, deciding on the spot that Mugetsu must be a good person. The other children relax at that. Mugetsu chalks his full name on the board, introducing himself as Kazami Mugetsu, and says he looks forward to working with them. Eiko responds first and leads the class into a wave of introductions. Shinji politely joins in. Mugetsu quietly pings the system, hoping that having a classroom full of kids call him teacher will be enough to register Shinji as his disciple. It stays stubbornly silent, so much for exploiting the bug. He swallows his disappointment and presses on, asking the class who knows how Kata came to be. The room fills with the uncomfortable silence of children who do not want to be wrong. Shinji holds his answer back because he does not like to stand out. Finally, Eiko thinks for a moment and says that people built it. He tells her. She is not wrong, just incomplete, sliding from her answer into the warring. States period, describing how children as young as them used to be handed weapons. He describes how the Shojin and Kagemiya finally stepped forward and founded kata together so the next generation would not have to fight. He closes with the old line about leaves dancing and fire shadow illuminating the village, speaking with deliberate solemnity about the ancestors' selfless devotion, and framing it as the will of flame. The kid's eyes go wide with inspiration. Shinji, in particular, notices something. A quiet, thoughtful flicker crosses his face. He is a Kagemiya, and he did not miss that Magetsu gave his clan equal billing with the Shojin. He drifts from there into a question about chakra natures. A bright student answers 5. Magetsu gently corrects him with 7, adding yin and yang too. Those 5 basic transformations, that wrong then right rhythm drives the point into memory better than a simple recital ever could. 4 periods slide by almost before anyone notices, when he announces that tomorrow they will talk about refining chakra. The class is stunned that the day is already over. Eiko cannot wait for tomorrow. Kota mutters to Izio that his cousin clearly lied about school being unbearable. Izio calmly suggests that Kota could just blackmail the cousin for snacks instead. Kota declares Izio a genius and promises him half the spoils. As Magetsu steps toward the door, the system chimes in with its verdict. Lecture complete. Evaluation. It praises him for using ancestor stories to awaken the student's sense of responsibility with high student satisfaction. Rewards are being calculated as Shinji watches quietly, standing up to follow him out. 3 rewards land in quick succession. He gains perception ninjutsu, appraisal technique, and fire release chakra nature. Transformation mastery. The last one floods his head with the memories of an old ninja who spent a whole career chasing fire. They are so vivid he half feels like him. Shinji catches Magetsu before he can sit down, asking respectfully if he can have a moment. He leads him to the empty back of the teaching building and sweeps the area with his new perception ninjutsu. Only after confirming no strong chakra signatures are nearby does he turn and ask if something from class confused him. He shakes his head and asks the question he has clearly been carrying. If the Shojin and Kagemiya jointly founded kata, why do people only remember the Shojin? Why do villagers on the street look at the crest on his back with something close to dislike? He thinks privately that comparing Hashir's his reputation with Moros is answer enough, though he cannot say that aloud. He simply asks if the boy has only read the Kagami clan's side of history. The boy nods, and he sighs that it is a long story best left for later, not a quick hallway chat. Just as Shinji starts to politely withdraw, he adds that if the boy has time after school, he should come find him to hear the history properly. After all, he explains that he owes the young ninjas clan a deep debt of gratitude. Shinji's eyes widen as he explains that his own parents were once saved in a war by a ninja named Kagami Aka, though they eventually died in a later battle. He has never forgotten that kindness. Shinji's face instantly blooms with sheer astonishment. Kai was his grandfather, after all. The boy is not one to demand payment for a favor, but he thanks him quietly and accepts the warm invitation. Before the boy leaves, he runs an appraisal. Kagami Shinji has 500 chakra potential and double S-Master Sage path bloodline suited to fire release and genjutsu, making discipleship highly recommended. He walks back to the office, thinking that a 6-year-old with 2 sparkling S ranks is an absolute gold mine. Honestly, when he opens his own status panel, the evaluation has completely shifted. He is now highly proficient in fire release nature transformation and would easily be an elite Jonahan if he could just fix his massive chakra shortfall. This mastery is much stronger than he assumed, reaching far beyond basic Jonin level fire knowledge into something close to the 3rd Chobin's legendary command of the element. Still, his brief delight is quickly shattered. He remembers the shadow branch curse mark binding his tongue and Ganzo's brutal habit of throwing his loyal subordinates directly into early graves. He tells himself that he needs disciples immediately. He needs enough feedback and growth to reach a level where even if he cannot just kill Ganzo, he can at least keep himself alive. Back inside the staff office, he finds 3 other teachers loudly complaining about their students, 2 men and 1 woman. He quietly runs his appraisal on each of them. Aiku, the homeroom teacher for Class 2, Grade 4, comes back as a basic tuning cannon. Fodder with a miserable C potential. The others are no better. Aiku complains that he is stuck with Maidoro and Kagami Oryo, 2 of the absolute worst students. His family has even scheduled a blind date for him tomorrow afternoon, right when Class 2 Grade 4 actually needs him. Yuta, the friendly female teacher, insists the date is far more important, suggesting he should find a substitute or just take the day off. Before anyone else can speak up, he chimes in, offering to cover the afternoon shift. Since his own schedule is clear, inwardly he is absolutely thrilled because this is a perfect opportunity to get eyes on Arturo. Yuta finally notices him sitting nearby and asks how his first lesson went. She playfully asks if her trick of silently counting cabbages and radishes was actually helpful. He replies with a straight face that his newly assigned students ended up advising him not to be picky eaters. She laughs, deciding his first day must have been a great success. Meanwhile, far away in the Shogun office, the 3rd Shogun quietly observes him through a crystal ball, listening to his lecture on the will of flame. Stroking his goatee, the leader decides that this young Shadow Branch agent is actually not half bad. He clearly possesses a deep understanding of what kata stands for. The Shogun has long known that Ganzo keeps secret ninja off the official Shadow Branch roster. He tolerates these hidden shadow units as long as the numbers do not get out of hand. However, the Ninja Academy is a sacred ground. He strictly monitors himself. The real surprise is that this particular Shadow Branch assassin spent his very first lesson teaching the children about the will of flame and urging them to carry their own heavy responsibilities. The leader decides to watch the boy's progress. If he proves to be a talent, he will consider personally pulling him out of the Shadow Branch. For now, he must weigh his old classmates' feelings before making any demands. He turns his farside jutsu off and returns to his paperwork, planning another quiet patrol of the village. In the evening, after dinner, Shinji makes his way toward the sparsely built southeastern district where the boy lives. He finds the simple, single-story wooden house in its modest yard easily. As he steps through the gate, he comes upon a scene that stops him mid-breath. Back in his own courtyard, the boy has just finished checking the bathroom mirror. The tongue-cutting seal is indeed inked right on his tongue. It is a Shadow Branch member's mandatory accessory, and it paralyses the wearer if they speak of forbidden things. Any captured or defected Shadow Branch ninja cannot reveal secrets, but here is the terrifying part. Ganzo might be able to trigger it actively, leaving a fatal leash wrapped around his neck. He searches his memory for any precedent in the original story for breaking the seal, but there is only one consistent answer. It unwinds when Ganzo dies, but Ganzo is no careless mobile cannon. He hides in the Shadow Branch base and guards his life obsessively. He might even have something like a revival coin on him. The boy weighs his current strength and sets killing him aside for now. His only real options are Oruru, who cannot be approached yet, or independent research. Practically that means research. A spike of sensory chakra tells him Shinji is approaching the yard. He steps outside and waits. As Shinji walks in, he snaps off a full-strength fire release, the great fireball technique. It incinerates his training dummy and scorches a wide patch of ground. The fireball is 8 meters across. Shinji stops dead in astonishment. He has seen a Kagamiya Jonin use that same C-rank jutsu, and he knows the difference between their power and what this young boy just produced. Shinji apologizes for interrupting his training, but he waves it off and invites him inside. This shock is the foundation he wanted. Laid inside over 2 cups of water, the boy takes the opportunity to explain the real truth of Kagamiya history. He explains how Mario's defection would have ended. Kato if Hashira had not been strong enough. He tells him how Tabira, already wary of the Kagamiya, wrote policies specifically designed to keep them in check. The hawks among the Kagamiya chafed, plotting to take power, only to be caught and imprisoned by the Shadow Corps. This whole cascade slowly erased the clans. Earlier contributions from the villagers' memories. Shinji falls silent, taking it all in. The boy steers the conversation toward Shinji's grandfather, calling Kagamiya Kai. Kagamiya who truly carried the will of flame, serving as a bridge between the clan and Kata to soften the conflict between both sides. Shinji has only ever heard his grandfather described as a strong genius. Quietly and without any flourish, he tells the boy that he wants to become a Kagamiya like that himself. In the same breath, he slips and calls Kai grandfather, only then realizing his own slip. Feeling a bit flushed, he tells him not to worry about repaying the kindness and suggests he simply visit his grandfather's grave sometime. The boy uses this opening, asking if Shinji is willing to become his disciple. He frames it as the only way he can adequately repay the debt owed to his family. Shinji worries the bargain is too unbalanced for the boy, worrying about a kind teacher who repays. He knows the boy values kindness, but still needs a powerful mentor. Shinji pauses, then he slowly nods and calls him sensei. A system prompt asks to lock in their master-disciple bond. Done. He accepts without hesitating for a second. The next notification shows trust level starting at 2, unlocking special feedback and disciple rewards. First, the student's personal growth feeds back directly into him. This power return amplifies with trust. At level 2, it is double the gains. Every chakra point Shinji earns gives him 2. Second is daily gifts. Higher trust means better loot. Without wasting time, he hands Shinji a special fire release training booklet written earlier that afternoon. He warns the boy, no slacking off. Gratitude will not lower standards. Shinji bows deeply, clutches the guide, and exits with a thank you. Immediately, the system chiming signals a massive critical hit reward. Fire release great dragon technique unlocked, proficient. 1,000 hours of grueling training memories flood his brain all at once. It is a powerful B-rank jutsu, requiring only a single seal. He can summon multiple dragons. Watching Shinji walk away, he smiles. He sees no mere student here, just a walking golden jackpot. He offers to walk him home, but the polite kid declines, explaining he lives alone, no pressure. There will be plenty of chances later. The next morning, Aikyu is still stressing hard over his blind date. Shaking his head, our teacher heads to class. His students are plotting. Koda and Isaizu are planning their next prank on Koda's cousin. Isaizu suggests total destruction. Break the room, call it child play. That way the cousin gets scolded. Koda proudly boasts that with Isaizu's help, they are as unstoppable as Ashira and Tabira. Our teacher takes the stage. He starts lecturing on chakra, the fusion of physical and spiritual energy. He releases a burst from his palm, blending jokes to keep them awake. Before ending the lesson, he runs appraisal on everyone to check their potential. Eiko shows up as a shocking grade A that is genuinely impressive for her. Koda and Isaizu both score a B-, and one unknown student also shares that same score. Shinji is in a league of his own while the rest are scattered through grades C and D, making Shinji look insane. Eiko's. She was so average in the original storyline, but he must focus. He only has 4 disciple slots, with one already taken by Shinji. He cannot waste his slots, not with Ganzo breathing down his neck. Being cute will not rescue him from the shadow branch. Survival comes first. The system grades his lesson as A, rewarding him with shadow clones. It is a legendary, versatile technique, famous throughout the entire series. Sadly, his tiny chakra reserve makes it completely useless in battle. During lunch, the other instructors are busy giving dating tips to Aikyo. A tall, thin teacher named Kimura Sujido warns him to look sharp. Aikyo insists he knows, Yuta sighs, pointing out his biggest flaw. He will likely brag the whole time. Aikyo instantly puffs up. He tells her to just watch. Right then, she spots our hero entering. She compliments his grade 1 class, saying the atmosphere felt really good when she glanced inside. He thanks her with expected modesty, crediting her useful teaching tips. And well-behaved students, she smiles warmly and shares some of her snacks with him. That really stings Ika-sensei, who has barely eaten any of her snacks in 2 years. After chatting for a few minutes, he takes out a brush and ink to spend the rest of his lunch practicing calligraphy, a habit he picked up in his past life and kept as one of his few good habits. As the afternoon bell nears, he gathers his things and walks to grade 4, class 2. Upon entering, a student points out that the substitution was actually supposed to be for Ika-sensei's history class. He has just finished explaining the situation when Obaido bursts in panting, hands on his knees. He apologizes for being late, claiming he was busy helping an old woman on the road. He nods him to his seat and sweeps his appraisal over the room. Rin returns with 300 chakra and B+ potential. Guy returns with 600 chakra, S potential, suited for Taijutsu with a discipleship recommendation. Obaido returns with 650 chakra, S potential, boasting a Sage Path bloodline, space-time talent, and a special discipleship recommendation. The rest of the class scales about the same as his own class. Takido is at A level, while the others are mostly C and D. He teaches in his usual warm, story-threaded style. Obaido, who is accustomed to droning textbook readings, blurts out that he teaches way better than their other teachers, adding that if he taught them all the time, he would surely pass. He smiles and warns that he will be forced to mention this lateness to Ika-sensei, sending him into a panic of polite begging that gets the entire class laughing. During the long break, he uses perception ninjutsu to sweep the grounds for any prying chakra signatures. Finding absolutely none, he calls Guy and Obaido out into the corridor. Obaido is still pleading with him not to tell Ika-sensei about his tardiness, not quite knowing how to read his new teacher. He tells him that depends entirely on his performance, leaving it ambiguous. Guy scratches his head and asks why he was called out since he did nothing wrong. He looks at this boy who will one day nearly kick a god into oblivion. This is the boy Madara himself will later crown as the strongest Taijutsu master. Right now, he is just a green kid in a green jumpsuit who has not yet understood what his father means by youth and self-discipline. He opens with a problem, noting that their theoretical grades give Ika-sensei constant headaches. Abai lowers his head and protests, claiming the problems just do not make any sense. He cannot see the point of animal word problems or memorizing history when it is all in the past. Guy nods in agreement, admitting he cannot retain history either. He tells them gravely that they must take that complaint up with the third Hokage since he is the principal. Then he warns their current trajectory is bad for them and for Ika-sensei. Obaido's eyes light up at the mention of a secret. He reveals that his secret to passing exams is actually doing practice problems while actually studying, which is technically a secret to kids who have never tried either. He sweetens the bait. If they pass the exam next month, he will personally reward them with ninjutsu or taijutsu guidance. Hearing this, Guy instantly declares this is what youth must feel like, and that he is fired up, while Obaido promises to pass this time, walking them back to the classroom. He reflects contentedly that advanced hunters always appear as prey. Whether they pass or not, Tsukishi has positioned himself to become their teacher through this special training. Even if they fail, he can still gift them the training and goodwill under a face-saving excuse about their hard work. He is not tricking them into formal discipleship yet. The background debt that worked on Shinji does not apply here. Tsukishi only teaches this class occasionally making long-term contact hard to sustain. When they return, Ren asks with concern if Orita was punished. He immediately defends Tsukishi. Tsukishi-sensei is so good, Orita says, he just taught him the secret too. Passing, he even tells her she had better listen carefully in class so he does not surpass her on the next exam. She laughs helplessly at the thought of him actually keeping that up for 3 full minutes. Orita is the most serious student in the room, bent over a notebook trying to decide which ninjutsu he will learn first. Then he slumps face down, prompting Ren to sigh in amusement. He is still the same old kid. A piece of chalk arcs beautifully across the room and taps him on the head. He jolts up, meeting Tsukishi's gentle smile, sees Magoro writing earnestly, and flushes back into full wakefulness. The system closes the session with a rank reward, the Kata Whirlwind Taijutsu, a technique that will one day belong to Magoro. It looks like a simple kick, but it is not. The posture, muscle burst, and chakra release must all perfectly sync up. Tsukishi had been quietly worrying about what he would teach Goro later on, but this solves the problem neatly. After school, he wanders the southern forest of Kata, searching for a secluded training spot. Lord Ganzo knows exactly where Tsukishi lives, with his deep hatred for the Kagamiya. If he learned Tsukishi was secretly teaching Shinji ninjutsu without reporting it, he would assume betrayal, sensing ninjutsu exists but he cannot keep it. Running constantly without burning chakra he does not have, he plans instead to take Shinji out of the city for training, finding a pleasant, isolated stretch beside a small river. Tsukishi notes the location carefully and walks home. His caution is fully justified. Stepping inside his courtyard, he is surprised to find a masked ninja waiting. The shadow operative silently hands over a secret scroll and explains that Lord Ganzo has issued new instructions. He calls him Knight, his code name in the shadow branch, before quickly vanishing from sight. Being seen near Tsukishi would draw unwanted attention. Tsukishi is just a hidden piece on Ganzo's board. As the Jonin leaves, Tsukishi appraises him. Harada has 7,000 chakra potential, a Jonin with some serious strength. Seriously, who wouldn't feel a little jealous? This messenger already has 5 times more chakra than Tsukishi currently possesses. Once his sensing confirms the ninja is gone, he steps inside and opens the scroll. Young Shinji in his class is a genius of the Kagamiya clan. Tsukishi must observe him and evaluate his character carefully. Ganzo's paranoia about the Kagamiya clan has crossed into sheer pathology. Shinji is only 6 years old, barely starting at the academy simply because he has a whisper of genius around him. Now Ganzo wants to size him up, maybe even pull him into the shadow branch. Tsukishi doubts the third shogun would allow that to happen. A genius Kagamiya either stays obediently in the clan or joins Shadow Corps. This instruction is at least within Tsukishi's limits. Even without Ganzo prompting him, he would have reported Shinji's talent during his own reporting cycle. Hiding now, when Ganzo has already fixed his eyes on the Kagamiya, would only draw suspicion onto him. He burns the scroll with fire release. He creates a shadow clone to practice ninjutsu on his behalf, while his main body settles into chakra, refining training, no matter how many techniques he hoards. Without chakra backing them, the ceiling stays low. Chakra sets both the ceiling and the floor of a ninja's strength. The next morning, he has no classes. He slips into the academy's archives and pulls the 4th grade exam papers from recent years. While there, he grabs the 1st grade papers too. His goals are recruiting disciples and also delivering honestly on his promise to raise their scores. Studying the year side by side, he finds exactly what he hoped. The question banks recycle heavily, wording shifts, numbers rotate, and whole questions repeat verbatim. In some years, he will not even need to push Goro and Ordo into rigorous drilling. 2 years of past papers should be enough to pass them. He gathers a stack and walks into the office, straight into an ongoing argument between Aikiao and Yuta about the blind date. Aikiao insists She listened to him the whole time, so she is clearly interested, she offered. To split the bill, so she is already thinking of him. Yuta Aya keeps volleying back highly plausible alternatives. She did not want to talk, so she was glad he did all the talking. She split the bill so she would not have to let him use the next time is on me line to book a second date. Kimura Sujito watches the blood bath with amused detachment and brings him up to speed. Aikiao turns to him. He hopes he has special techniques for women. He pauses, then offers some basic advice. Just show her real sincerity, and that should do it. Pretty useless, let's be real, but perfect for his kind teacher persona. Building, Yuta tells him to give up because his face is not his face, and what works for him will not work for him. Aikiao protests that the difference is not that large. She sighs that he will not believe it until he hits a wall. He gives him an encouraging smile. Privately, he hopes he will remain busy with this blind date project. Every time he is busy, he gets to substitute teach in class 2, grade 4. During the afternoon class, he runs a small experiment. He deliberately drops his lecture quality down a notch. His earlier analysis suggests that evaluations split between quality and satisfaction. That original A rank rewarded him with an extra first-time bonus, so he suspects the first B rank should do the same. The class ends with a B rank. He gets 20 chakra. Then, because it is his first B rank, he also receives proficient chakra form transformation. It is a whole new branch of chakra manipulation on par with nature transformation. It has no attribute limits. It is in the same family as Naruto's future Spiral Orb. Spiral Orb is the representative ninjutsu of form transformation. It does not even require nature transformation to be powerful. He can start developing it himself with what he remembers from the original story. The 20 chakra per B rank gives him a reason to occasionally aim for B rank evaluations going forward. A single hit is small, but accumulation is the whole point. His days now stack neatly. Lectures during the day, Shinji. In the evenings, cultivation and ninjutsu development at night, Garo and Ordo. Special training on weekends. He would be very pleased to live this rhythm for several years. Unfortunately, he had not transmigrated into a quiet era. On his fourth day living in this world, grim news arrived from the front lines. Frontline skirmishes had escalated into real conflict. Ryukuri had deployed ninja into the land of geysers bordering the land of flame. There were rumors that the eight-tailed host had appeared. Hearing this, he knew the third Ninja World War was right on their doorstep. As a shadow branch ninja, his host body knew far more than ordinary ninja. Since Silver Fang committed suicide last year, the world had been full of undercurrents. Ryukuri, Ganseki and Sabakuno were all stirring. Watching the series, he had assumed Silver Fang was just another famous powerhouse, but the host's memories painted a completely different picture. He was famous for pure, cold efficiency. With a short chakra sword in hand, he became a mowing machine. Anyone weaker than him died instantly in a single flash of white light. It was not that he was the absolute strongest. Rather, his ruthless style crushed the weak so thoroughly that none could survive him. Now that Kata had lost him, Ryukuri and Ganseki decided to make a play for the top spot. Having taken few losses in the second war, they felt strong enough to challenge Kata. Yua sighed that Ryukuri ninja could not seem to sit still. Aikyu growled that if Silver Fang were alive, they would never dare. Kimura Sujito tried to lighten the mood. Kata still had the third Shogun Araru, he pointed out, who would surely lead them to victory. He asked the question he actually cared about: if war broke out, would academy teachers receive combat missions? Yua answered that it depended on the war's intensity. If things got bad, teachers were assigned by specialty. He silently prayed to whatever gods were listening that he would not be drafted early. The Third Ninja World War was bound to be exceptionally brutal. Kata would fight all 4 great villages at once. On top of that, Moro and Black Wraith were pulling strings from the shadows. He was not afraid of The front line, honestly, who wouldn't be terrified of fighting completely unprepared? Kimura Sujito insisted kata was supreme and would never draft academy. Teachers, he just smiled, saying he only wanted to be fully prepared. He obviously could not say out loud that he preferred not going. He practiced calligraphy until the bell, then walked into Class 1, Grade 1, Wars Shad. Had not yet reached the children. The room was bright and noisy. 2 days had passed since Kota tried Izio's room-wrecking plan. He grimly reported that his cousin retaliated with the exact same tactic. They yelled and hit each other back and forth. Finally, they declared a truce, calling the whole stunt a forbidden ninjutsu. Izio lamented that his cousin was too cunning and admitted he had no other ideas. Kota offered to help him instead, asking Izio about his own troubles. Izio shyly admitted he liked a girl next door but did not know how to get close to her. Kota suggested giving her something she liked. Izio recalled how she always stared at his family's flower garden when passing by. Since her family grew none, he concluded she loved flowers. Kota confidently declared the perfect gift was flowers. He coughed twice and called the class to order, lecturing with his usual warmth. The class has come to expect this in only 4 days. The system closes with an A grade. His reward is water release, water formation wall. It is a B-rank water technique that raises a massive wall of water. Tobar's version famously drew a circle of water around himself for full 360 protection. As the knowledge unpacks in his mind, he realizes, with pleasant surprise, that the system has quietly handed him water release. Chakra nature transformation as well. Without it, he could not use water release at all. He gives the thoughtful system a silent thumbs up. After school, he takes Shinji to the river spot he scouted. He outlines their training plan and tells him today he will teach him a new fire release. He claps his hands once and spits out 3 giant fire dragons. They circle in the sky before plunging into the river, hissing up clouds of white steam. Shinji recognizes the technique instantly as Great Dragon Fire. He has seen Kagami, a Jonin, use it. That only makes him more astonished. He released 3 dragons from a single hand seal. He watches his curiosity sharpen and tells him to watch again, this time slow and deliberate. The next day, he continues the lesson. He breaks down the mechanic in plain terms. The difficulty of the ninjutsu is compressing a very large amount of chakra into the shape of a dragon instantaneously, along with his proficient chakra nature transformation operations at the same time. Shinji nods. He flies through the hand signs, compresses and shapes his chakra, and opens his mouth. A 1-meter fire dragon shoots into the sky, spins, and dived into the water. He claps and tells him truthfully that he expected several tries. He underestimated the boy's talent, but Shinji humbly credits his teaching rather than his own gift. He also volunteers that he did not need his crimson mirror eye to copy it. He cannot yet call it mastered, only usable. He demonstrates it several more times. At full mastery for him to study, the sun slips away almost without their noticing. As he packs up to go home, he wonders half seriously whether his gentle voice is some kind of ninjutsu that makes people lose track of time. He hands him a new booklet he has been writing, his recent nature transformation, Cultivation. Notes. He bows and takes it seriously. His respect for him deepens every day. He has spent only 4 days with him and has never held anything important back. The system rewards him with a critical hit, wind style, pressure damage, proficient level. It is a top-tier wind release with great range and destructive power. It will combine beautifully with his fire release. The mastery comes bundled with wind release chakra nature transformation. That means he can now develop a wind-enhanced spiral orb into spiral shuriken, prioritizing it over the fire-enhanced version he had planned. A few days of experimentation have made the disciple return mechanic clear to him. The reward depends on 2 factors: the quality of the gift and the disciple's gratitude. Gratitude is weighted more heavily. On the second day, he gave him homemade food and got 50. Chakra back, same category of gift, different heart behind it, different. Reward, understanding this, he starts planning how to set up a big drop. He will check Shinji's information at the academy tomorrow and find out his birthday. His 5th day in this world lands him one afternoon class he had already been assigned, plus a substitute for a 3rd grade teacher who needs 2. Step out, he takes it happily. One class yields 20 chakra, the other yields fire. He gets the great fireball technique, but his system reveals a pleasant surprise. The duplicate ninjutsu converts directly into extra cultivation experience. This boosts the skill he already knows, acting like a +1 enhancement in a video game. Yuta warns him that he is way too easygoing, and other teachers will eat him alive with. Substitute requests if he doesn't push back. He smiles, they are all colleagues who should always help each other out. This leaves her totally speechless, feeling dazed that such a selfless teacher actually exists. Substituting brings no extra pay, making it pure free labor. Over the weekend, per their agreement, he brings Orito and Goro to the exact same river spot at 8 in the morning. The same spot he uses with Shinji. Their training begins and Orito flops onto the desk he set up, wailing about waking up so early on a weekend. Meanwhile, Goro scratches his head, unable to relate. The teacher hands out custom test papers he wrote himself, specifically tailored to their 5 days of classes instead of last year's monthly exam. Shinji arrives soon after, surprised to find Orito and Goro slumped over their tests. With tortured expressions, he explains that they are 4th grade students he is currently tutoring, telling Shinji to go ahead and train as usual. His arrival is no coincidence, as the teacher asked him to come last night. He decided it would be highly motivating for the older boys to struggle with tests while they're younger. Classmate practices ninjutsu right in front of them. Orito looks up from his questions and freezes the moment he spots Shinji, recognizing the young genius instantly. The Kagemiya clan lives together on land designated by kata, so children of the same generation all know one another, at least by reputation. A true prodigy like Shinji always shows up constantly in the lectures of elders as the example of the perfect child. Naturally, Orito is quite confused about why Shinji is here and why he seems so close with the teacher. A wild theory forms in his head, maybe he is a distant relative of Shinji. While Orito is lost in his thoughts, Goro suddenly shouts at the top of his lungs that he is finished. Orito stares, completely dumbfounded. He has barely even started writing. Seriously, how did he finish so fast? He leans over to check his paper, seeing Goro only answered the first 3 multiple-choice questions. The rest are completely blank. Orito is utterly speechless. The entire test only has 10 simple questions, 4 multiple-choice and 6 open-ended. Even when Orito does not know the answers, he at least tries to guess, so the paper looks complete. The teacher walks over to grade Goro's work, finding 2 incorrect answers. Only the very first question is correct. Goro stares at his 2 wrong answers, out of the only 3 he attempted, completely at a loss for words. The teacher smiles warmly, telling him it is totally fine. If he already knew everything, he wouldn't need tutoring. He tells him not to feel down about a low score and to look at it from a different angle. He has plenty of room for growth. Going from 5 points to 25 is much easier than climbing from 80 to 100. Goro's body trembles with emotion. This is the first genuine encouragement he has ever received, boosting his morale instantly. He eagerly agrees that he is right. There is indeed plenty of room to grow. Goro hangs on every word of the explanations that follow, trying his absolute best to grasp the hard concepts. Orito is up next. Having answered 6 questions, he only got 2 correct. The teacher treats him the same way he treated Goro, offering comfort before breaking down the tricky problems. Once they finish, he pulls out 2 more practice tests and hands them over. It is not over yet. Orito groans that there is more, unable to look away from Shinji, who has already begun his fire release. hands blur. He exhales a massive 2-meter fireball arcing right toward the river, leaving Ordo completely frozen. Ordo watches the enormous fireball with absolute admiration for the famous clan genius. Ordo knows the classic great fireball technique himself, just like any Kagamiya, but his version is nothing. His own version looks like a tiny pebble next to Shinji's massive attack. Goro does not know the young prodigy personally, but he carefully takes in his height and age and realizes he is at most 6 or 7, yet already casting high-level ninjutsu. This power immediately reminds Goro of his genius rival, Kanaro, who did not even finish the second semester of school before applying for early graduation and passing with ease. Proving his incredible talent, right now, Shinji feels to Goro like a young Kanaro. To Goro like a young Kanaro. At this rate, Shinji moves right on to the great Dragon Fire technique, deepening Goro's shock. He has practiced 3-body for years and still barely has it down. Meanwhile, Ordo watches the soaring dragons with pure envy. If he could only pull off a spectacular move like that, he could easily impress Ren. Seeing this, their teacher walks up to praise Shinji, noting that his form transformation has noticeably improved since yesterday, making the fire dragon much faster and sharper. He must have trained hard after returning home. Shinji credits his progress to the booklet his mentor provided. The teacher steps right in front of him, claps, and exhales 3 massive fire dragons. Orto's jaw hits the floor. Honestly, who wouldn't be completely stunned? Against these 3, his looks like a loach beside a snake. The casting speed is so fast he barely needs any hand seals. The flaming dragons loop through the sky and arrange themselves into glowing characters that tell him to stop staring and do his work. Ordo reads the flaming message in the sky and instantly snaps his head back to find his teacher watching him with a pleasant smile. Shaken, he quickly claims he was only tired from the paper and just resting his eyes. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees Goro is already working, so he quickly picks up his pen too. After a while, he cannot help asking about his teacher's connection with Shinji. The mentor replies they are teacher and disciple, leaving Orto feeling pretty silly about his own wild guesses. Orto decides to keep those thoughts to himself, but quickly follows up with a burning question. If he passes, will his teacher teach him that insane dragon jutsu? The mentor nods. His face immediately lights up as he imagines showing off this awesome new move too. Ren, meanwhile, Goro is focused on something entirely different, showing absolutely no interest in flashy fire release. He only cares about taijutsu, so the teacher remains silent and approaches a massive tree. He channels chakra into his feet, tenses his muscles, and unleashes a devastating whirlwind kick. With a sharp crack, the trunk snaps and throws up a massive cloud of choking dust. Brushing off his foot, the teacher calmly asks Goro if he likes this style of taijutsu. Goro's eyes light up instantly with sheer excitement. It is the fighting style of his dreams, simple, incredibly fast, and brutally powerful. He excitedly begs his teacher to train him in this move when the test is finally done. The mentor smiles and promises to teach him the technique as long as he stays dedicated. His thrilled reaction is exactly what the teacher expected. In the future, this very style will become Goro's own creation, branching out into powerful variants like the Great Whirlwind or the Strong Whirlwind. Frankly, it would be strange if he did not absolutely love it. With their mentor's reassuring promise, both Orto and Goro are absolutely thrilled. Even the exam papers seems much easier to them now. Orito rubs his hands together, declaring that this time he will get more than 4 right. Goro insists he must get at least 3 right or he will run 500 laps around Kata tonight. He even plans to find Kanaro for a spar once he learns the new taijutsu, but the burst of enthusiasm fades almost as fast as it came. A few questions in, Orito learns a harsh truth. He could unleash a larger fireball than usual if pushed to his limit. He could throw 5 shuriken into a bullseye in one go, but on tests, being desperate does absolutely nothing. He props his head on one hand and twirls His pen, even the leaves swaying in the wind, look like they are mocking him. He glances over at Goro. They have been classmates for 3 years now and share Kanaro as a mutual friend, but they have never actually hung out. Their relationship is ordinary, not quite strangers, but not friends either. When Orito thinks of Goro, his first reaction has always been dead last. Orito considers himself weak only in certain subjects. His ninjutsu and shuriken throwing are decent enough. His theory is the real problem. It only looks worse because other Kagamiya clan members are too outstanding. Goro, though, is a recognized dead last in everything theory and ninjutsu alike, and yet right here, right now, Goro shows more patience than him. Goro is still scratching his head and still pushing on through. Orito remembers a declaration Goro made once when he was being mocked. He believed that if he kept working hard, he would definitely become the strongest taijutsu ninja. Orito himself never joined the mockery, but when he first heard those words, he had been dismissive. He thinks now that his opinion may have been wrong. Whether Goro becomes the strongest or not is hard to say, but he will certainly be stronger than the people who mocked him. Becoming friends with him might not be a bad idea. They can team up against Kanaro. He starts writing furiously. The teacher watches the two of them from the side with a thoughtful expression. He had not expected this chemical reaction. Even the restless Orito has calmed down under Goro's influence. He notes this for future use, knowing similar methods could motivate Orito's training. When they finish, he grades them. Orito gets 3 right and Goro gets 2. Orito slumps on the desk. Goro adds 500 more laps to his training plan. The teacher comforts them. They are only 5 questions away from passing and improved by 1 question in just an hour. They brighten seeing passing and ninjutsu within reach. He takes out 2 more test papers with a smile. Orito looks at the fresh papers and the 3 weekends remaining before the exam. His vision goes black. He picks up his pen anyway. Giving up now would waste every paper he has already done. Meanwhile, Shinji, having recovered his chakra, starts another round of fire release practice. Fire dragons soar through the sky. Orito's eyes keep drifting to them. Orito thinks for a while, then asks if learning his ninjutsu makes them his disciples. Just like Shinji, the teacher answers ambiguously, saying if they wish to be. Then yes, Orito grins, arguing that since they will be disciples anyway, why not teach them now? The teacher gives him a suspicious look. This was his own careful planning, but Orito is moving a little too fast. He pats his chest and promises he is not trying to avoid studying. He just believes both can happen simultaneously and pulls Goro in. Goro nods, agreeing with Orito. The teacher asks what he wonders what happens if they fail. Orito insists he will accept whatever Mugetsu decides. Goro agrees. Mugetsu feigns conflicted hesitation. Orito pushes a little harder, begging the young teacher to trust him. Mugetsu pretends to be swayed and tells them, "Once you finish this paper, I will teach you fire release, Great Dragon. Fire technique in Kata Whirlwind." Orito cheers while Goro clenches his fist. He vows to train diligently. Just then, 2 system prompts pop up, asking if he wants to establish a master-disciple bond with Goro. He stares at the windows with a satisfied smile. Yes, they just hit the jackpot. Both bonds are successfully established at trust level 2. Mugetsu nods quietly. It was completely worth playing the prey to lure them in like this. Trust is clearly hard to grind. Starting at level 1 would yield smaller benefits. But with level 2, things are much better. Suddenly, a new notice appears. 2 disciples with S-rank potential or above have unlocked the teaching skill. Its effect is simple but brutal. Any knowledge he shares is easily absorbed. This passive skill can be toggled on and off, but since there is no downside, he keeps it active. He will only turn it off if Ganzo notices his teaching skills and drags him to Shadow Branch. That would be a headache. The only disappointment is that daily rewards are capped. These returns only trigger once a day, no matter how many disciples he trains. Mugetsu imagined feeding all three and getting 3 daily rolls, but reality differs. With 3 disciples, he can rotate them. Honestly, that is pretty clever. Emotional thresholds rise under gradual stimulation, so cycling targets keeps rewards flowing. His status updates. Kazami Mugetsu, 18 years old with 445 chakra. Skills include Fire Release, Great Dragon Fire, Water Release, and Water Formation Wall. Plus Wind Style, Pressure Damage, and Teaching, he gained 105 chakra. With 90 from classes and returns, plus 15 from his own training. And Disciple Feedback, most of his rewards so far are ninjutsu, not pure chakra. If he focused entirely on chakra, he could easily gain 100 a week. But for now, aiming for a rank evaluations or a 50-50 split is better. System ninjutsu arrive combat ready with elemental nature. Transformation already bundled in, while duplicate pulls increase his experience. Mastering that alone would take months. Soon, Orito and Goro report they are done. Mugetsu creates a shadow clone and sends it to explain the kata. Whirlwind to Goro and demonstrate, since one is learning taijutsu and the other. Ninjutsu they cannot train together, his main body focuses on Orito first. While the clone works with Goro, after 30 minutes they swap, no playing favorites here. He genuinely wants to share his guidance equally with every single disciple. Teaching with the same care he gave Shinji, earning a system critical hit. He unlocks Water Dragon Bullet at proficient level, noting something interesting. Teaching Shinji that same Great Dragon Fire earlier did not trigger a return. This is likely because the technique originally came from Shinji himself. Meaning rewards derived from a disciple cannot be looped back into them. Mugetsu files that crucial rule away, secretly hoping this newly acquired. Water Dragon Bullet is not the 44 seal version from the original story. Fortunately, the system's proficient level keeps things sensible. He only needs 6 seals. With more practice, the chain will shrink further, after 30 minutes. With Orito handled, Matsuki switches to Goro, letting a clone train Orito. Between sessions, he checks on Shinji. At noon, he catches 4 fresh river fish. Lighting a fire to roast them, one for each of them, Orito loudly praises the grilled fish, jokingly telling Matsuki to open up a barbecue shop. Shinji and Goro nod along. Matsuki warns them about the bones, though he actually lacks grilling skills and rarely cooks. Still, the cozy campfire vibes make everything taste amazing. Shinji usually eats alone. Orito lives with his grandmother, and Goro only has his busy father. None of these boys are used to sharing warm group meals. In this quiet moment, simple food tastes like a feast. Soon they rest for an hour before training resumes. Orito conjures a chubby little fire dragon, a Charmander, and proudly declares that mastering this ninjutsu is a total walk in the park. It is way easier than his struggle with the great fireball. Suddenly, Shinji unleashes his own beastly dragon at the exact same moment. Shinji's fire creature is ferocious, fanged, and incredibly imposing. Defeated, Orito quietly hides his tiny summon. Behind his back, Goro wipes the sweat from his forehead and spots them. He walks over to comfort Orito, saying his little dragon is incredibly cute and will definitely grow stronger. Orito accepts the kind words but feels a sting of frustration. That minor embarrassment becomes pure fuel. Scrapping his plan to rest, he dives straight back into mastering the great dragon fire technique. Goro, determined, only takes a quick breather before jumping back in. Watching from the side, Matsuki can barely stifle his laughter. These two are quite the pair. Training continues until dusk, when Matsuki sends them home to rest for tomorrow. Sunday passes similarly, earning him 50 bonus points of chakra. Then a brand new week begins. In the early morning, Koda washes up and gobbles down his breakfast. His mother asks why he is rushing to school so early just to study. Koda lies to her, shouting a quick excuse without looking back. While he actually enjoys school, most teachers just are not as fun or engaging as Matsuki. the real source of his excitement is finding out if his buddy Isuo finally made a move on his crush. Koda had suggested gifting her flowers last Thursday. By Friday, Isuo was still too nervous and requested more time. Surely those 2 weekend days were plenty. Koda finds an almost empty classroom upon arrival, but less than 10 minutes. Later, Isuo drags himself inside, looking totally defeated. Koda asks if he slept. Badly, no answer, just a groan. Did the flower plan actually happen? Isuo's expression sinks even further into despair. It turns out she was looking at the garden because of severe pollen allergies, terrified it might blow her way. Koda goes completely silent. Talk about a brutal plot twist. He asks if Isuo still handed them over. Isuo's silence says everything. Koda pats his shoulder to offer some comfort. He mentions a cute girl who hangs out with Miho, suggesting a group hangout. Isuo immediately cheers up, calling him his dearest brother. To keep the momentum going, Koda reveals a brand new strategy to handle his cousin. Isuo's eyes widen with hope, but then Matsuki's voice suddenly rings out, announcing the start of class. They both jump. The school bell had rung minutes ago without them even noticing. Instantly, they sit up straight to pay attention. 2 days away from Matsuki's lessons was clearly too long. He delivers an absolute masterclass, effortlessly slipping valuable shinobi knowledge directly into their minds. The system awards him a powerful technique, water style, water-severing wave. Mayu's eyes light up. This is absolutely no ordinary water-style ninjutsu. It was created by the second Hokage, a super high-pressure water jet. Power off the charts, sharp enough to slice through the world tree itself. Feeling incredible, and get this, another stroke of luck comes his way. Back in the office, Ikea approaches him. He hopefully asks for a substitute. He has a ninjutsu class today, specifically for Class 2, Grade 4. Time for his perfect teacher persona. Mayu kindly asks if he is sick. But Ikea is completely fine. It is actually about his big blind date this afternoon. Yuta grumbles at him. Why pick a day when you have a class? Ikea quickly explains. Apparently, today was the only time she was free. He hates troubling Mayu. After all, everyone knows Mayu is far too kind to refuse. Hearing that, Yuta stops arguing. She is convinced this date will end horribly. If the girl actually liked him, she would not make him trouble colleagues. Mayu just smiles warmly. He wishes him luck, saying he honestly loves staying busy. More classes mean more system rewards, so Ikea happily thanks him for the help. He even promises a treat, the most expensive restaurant in Kata if it works. With that, he quickly dashes home. Yuta sighs, warning him about his endless kindness. Mayu simply smiles. It is always a joy to help fellow teachers. Yuta drops the subject. She quietly watches him practice his calligraphy in silence. She is quietly amazed. How can a person be so incredibly noble and kind? When it is finally time, Mayu tidies his desk. He heads to Class 2, Grade 4. The bell rings right as he reaches the classroom. He explains the sudden substitution. He will be taking over their ninjutsu lesson for the afternoon. Everyone is present except Oroito. Suddenly, 3 minutes later, the door flies open. Oroito gasps for air, completely dumbfounded to see Mayu at the podium. Talk about shock. He is completely out of breath, unable to believe his beloved teacher is here. But nope, he recognizes his classmates. This is definitely his own classroom. The boy quickly stammers. He desperately tries to explain why he was actually late. He claims he helped a grandma cross the street. Classic excuse. The entire classroom bursts into laughter, but Oroito swears it is the truth. He swears that if he knew Mayu was teaching, he would have arrived 30 minutes early. The boy is absolutely terrified. What if Mayu stops training him for being lazy? Mayu calmly tells him to sit down, gently accepting his classic excuse. But he warns him sternly, do not be late for Ikea's classes either. After all, Academy Ninjutsu classes only focus on 3 basic techniques: transformation, clone, and substitution. Spending years on just 3 might seem slow. But absolute geniuses like Shinji are incredibly rare among these academy kids. For average students, mastering these 3 basic arts is a massive challenge. Plus, they have a lot of other courses to juggle. Though they have practiced these clones before, Mayu's amazing lesson completely blows their minds. One student finally understands why his visual clones never actually looked like him. Another jokes that IKEA should go on way more blind dates. Mayu keeps his thoughts to himself and silently thanks his teaching system. Suddenly, the system alerts him with a brand new reward, lightning clone. He releases the nature transformation. A flood of lightning clone experience unpacks inside. His mind, it is not high-tier ninjutsu, but unlocking another chakra nature is. Pretty good, especially after that morning reward. For the next half-month, he settles into a rhythm. With no substitute teaching requests, he researches ninjutsu theory in the office. If a request comes, he accepts without hesitation. At home, he teaches Shinji and Ardo, then trains his chakra, perhaps. Because his substitute teaching is incredibly high quality, the students he has taught all want him back. Combined with a great rapport among teachers, he quickly becomes a well-known teacher at the academy. The students call him perfect, highly engaging in class, gentle and quite handsome. The teachers think he is sincere and kind. He has built the exact persona he wanted, his only real concern as he steps into his yard one evening is figuring out why another masked ninja is standing right there. It is Hayato again. The masked operative tells him that the mission went exceptionally well. Lord Ganzo has ordered him to deliver these. He hands over 2 scrolls. The young teacher takes them, nodding calmly in silence. Shadow Branch. Ninja have absolutely no use for small talk. Hayato says nothing more. Once the handoff is complete, he vanishes instantly to keep the teacher's identity safe, sensing the chakra drift away. He retreats into his room and unfurls the 2 scrolls. One contains a powerful fire release technique, the Great Dragon Fire. The other is Ganzo's written affirmation of his work, along with new instructions. Ganzo writes that he has fully shown great initiative to integrate quickly into the academy's inner circle. He rewards him with this advanced fire-style ninjutsu, warning him not to grow complacent and to keep building momentum. He is ordered to watch Kagamiya Shinji closely and keep a sharp eye on other Kagamiya students too. At the end, Ganzo dangles a pretty massive carrot. If he keeps performing, he will get promoted to Special Jonin, securing an important position at the academy. He lets flames ignite in his palm, burning both scrolls to ash. A Special Jonin. An important position. If the original owner of this body were still here, Ganzo's stick and carrot routine might have been genuinely motivating. But the fire reward is Great Dragon Fire, a technique he already has. He does not actually care about any Special Jonin promotions. Nothing Ganzo offers holds any real value. It is almost laughable. He decides to set his real body to training while letting his shadow clone red. Then he realizes he has already burned through every ninjutsu book in the house. He decides to visit Kata's library to borrow more. The archive is massive and fully stocked, containing various ninjutsu scrolls established during the Second Shogun's era. The building only carries ordinary D-rank and C-rank techniques. High-level or forbidden scrolls will never appear on these shelves, and even the common ones cost a pretty penny to rent. None of that matters to him. He is not after basic ninjutsu anyway. He wants details on sealing techniques and restrictive cursed seals. Classroom lectures teach him ninjutsu faster than physical practice ever could. To crack the tongue-cutting seal, he needs deep research. The stroll to the library marks the first time his actual body has stepped outside since transmigrating. He has spent over half a month hiding behind a shadow clone. Even for grocery shopping, his situation has always felt far too fragile. After accumulating some more ninjutsu and a bit more chakra, he finally feels somewhat safe enough to ensure he won't die from some random crossfire. At the library, he hands over his ninja credentials to the guard on duty, containing all his basic information and official ID. Since the library only admits active shinobi, the guard reviews his profile, finds 0 issues, and quickly waves him inside. But right as he begins searching the shelves, he spots a familiar figure with golden hair and a warm, gentle smile. Naminoya Minoru instantly notices his gaze and looks back. The two of them share a quiet nod as they cross paths. He evaluates him. Name Naminoya Minoru, chakra 40,000, S-tier potential. Talk about a terrifying evaluation. Just one look at this monster, and it is over. He keeps a calm expression, but on the inside he is completely shocked. 40,000 points is the very first 5-digit chakra level he has ever witnessed. It practically matches an 86-year-old veteran. The system evaluation is terrifying, making elite combat look like nothing. Right now, Minoru does not even hold his famous Golden Streak title yet. To the village, he is merely a highly capable jonin. His master, Gejiro, is far more renowned, standing as a top shogun candidate. Still, Minoru's crazy evaluation is incredibly accurate, having mastered instant teleportation. Defeating ordinary jonin is honestly effortless for him. A shinobi with that kind of speed is absolutely overwhelming against weaker foes. Our main character silently regrets that Minoru does not have a son enrolled yet. If he did, he could easily arrange a closer connection. He would love to become friends with the guy. Minoru's sealing mastery is legendary, making our main character quietly envious of his talent, since cursed marks are just specialized sealing. Having an expert advisor by his side would make breaking that nasty tongue-cutting seal much easier. But Karin as a tailed beast host is far too risky to get close to. He wants no part in that kind of dangerous trouble. Instead, he grabs 2 books on sealing and 3 unrelated ones. He checks them out, pays, and heads straight to the southern forest where he is training his students for their upcoming trial. He warns Orito and Goro that they better keep their word. They absolutely have to pass tomorrow's written exam. Orito boldly claims that if he fails, the sensei can punish him however he pleases. Realistically, they spent almost all their time practicing active combat skills only, rarely touching textbook theory. On their last practice exam, Orito only scored 30. In his mind, that is already well above the passing mark. The academy standard is just half of the class average, which normally hovers around 50. Goro screams that if he fails, he will run 800 laps around the village. Goro also scored 30. Now, Orito boasts that he will ace the practical part of the exam too, but Goro refuses to back down. The sensei just smiles and says absolutely nothing. He knows a win is not guaranteed. The rival Shirami clan has a student in the class who is incredibly tough. That kid's potential is ranked A, but Orito and Goro are far from unlocking their true forms. Orito has not awakened his crimson mirror eye, and Goro has not mastered the 8 inner gates yet. The level is low, making things totally unpredictable. Honestly, who knows what will happen? He glances at Shinji, who is quietly reading off to the side. He feels absolutely certain of him. Shinji will take top marks in both the written and physical tests. If he could compete against older students, he would easily dominate the whole school. The sensei wonders if his system will reward him for his class's high exam scores. The very next morning in his classroom, anxiety is thick in the air. It is their first big exam. Eiko asks Kota and Isuo if they are scared. Kota admits he is, and Isuo nods nervously too. She proudly boasts that there is absolutely nothing to worry about. Still, Kota got 80, and Iso scored 87 on Kazami's mock exam. They fear the real exam will be tougher, dropping them to 60. Eiko is completely stunned. Her last score was barely 60 points. Then Kota shares a rumor. Terrible grades mean their teacher gets replaced. Nobody wants to lose Kazami. Eiko absolutely refuses to let him go. Other teachers can leave, but never Kazami-sensei. Izuo strongly agrees. Only his lessons are actually fun. Izio suggests rallying the entire room. Eiko leaps onto her desk and proudly announces the danger to everyone. The classroom erupts. Koda urges everyone to study hard and avoid replacement. Nobody wants some dry medical ninja. Another student vows to mock failures. Shinji ignores the chaos entirely. He plans to capture that top spot. Let the results speak. Suddenly, Kazami's calm voice cuts through the room. He tells them to settle down and focus purely on doing their best. Kazami slips to the door, smiling warmly as he addresses them. He believes in them. Knowing he must proctor elsewhere, he quickly leaves. Privately, he knows their fear is silly, since teacher swaps take a year. Besides, his own custom practice exam was far tougher than the real one. Stepping into Class 2 of Grade 4, Kazami officially declares the exam open. Despite the random assignment, the students know him well and greet him warmly. Both Orito and Goro are here in this classroom, and both are his devoted disciples. Since Kazami covers this class often, they like him way more than Aikao. Goro takes a massive breath, looking like he is about to battle a foe. Watch and see. Orito promises Ren that he will completely change her perspective. Ren smiles sweetly, advising him to tackle the easy questions first. Orito nods eagerly. Soon, Kimura Sujito arrives to assist with the supervision. When the bell finally rings, they hand out the exam papers together. They patrol the quiet aisles, sometimes pausing near the front podium. Kimura Sujito whispers that Aikao's teaching bonus is definitely in serious danger. Kazami just smiles. It is hard to say how things will go. He suggests they might pass, but Kimura Sujito thinks that is too optimistic. 3 straight years of failing exams is a pretty impossible pattern to break. Kazami keeps walking. Regular classes are fully suspended for the next 3 days. First comes theory, followed by 2 intense days of hands-on practical testing. That means fewer system rewards and less chakra refined. Luckily, his passive disciple system still yields some great benefits. Giving Orito some shuriken triggers a neat 50-point chakra boost. He swears to win. Orito tearfully promises to claim first place. At Training Ground 16, Kazami takes roll before the big practical begins. The main academy campus is simply too small for this massive crowd. Once everyone is accounted for, the proctors announce the random matchups. It is basic tournament rules. Students draw numbers and fight in pairs. Number 1 faces number 2, and so on. Orito instantly checks Ren's draw. She got 10, meaning Orito kicks off the very first battle. He confidently declares he will win. Kazami's training has left him ready. Feeling completely transformed, Orito asks for Goro's number, which is 40. They can only meet at the very end. Goro gives him a thumbs up, telling him not to lose before he gets there. Orito snaps back. He is a proud Kagamiya, but a nearby classmate complains that 2 dead last students should not even talk about meeting at the top. The instructor calls. The first match to order, Kagamiya Orito versus Kagamiya Tado. Orito steps onto the chalked-out ring. Tado steps in from the opposite side. Both are Kagamiya, same age, mere classmates and barely acquainted. No dramatic history exists. Neither has ever cared about the other, Tado thinks. Orito is a bit foolish, weak, and always late. He has never seen a Kagamiya. Orito thinks Tado seems way too cold and hard to get along with. The crowd mutters and chuckles, knowing a loss to a clanmate will be deeply embarrassing. Some argue there is zero suspense here since Tado has been top in 2nd and 3rd grade, except for their first year when Kanaro managed to beat him. Ren worries deeply for Orito, hoping he does not push himself too hard and end up injured. Goro smiles, arms crossed. He believes Orito will win. Class 2, Grade 4's commotion draws curious onlookers from other 4th grade classes eager to watch. After the duel, they will form the traditional reconciliation seal to show they are still comrades. The proctor calls the match to begin. Tado instantly draws 3 shuriken and hurls them at Orito's head, torso, and Feet then rushes, Orito fires 3 back, all 6 collide in midair. With a sharp metallic ring before dropping together, Kimura Sujito murmurs that the Kagamiya Shuriken technique is indeed exceptional. Taito closes the distance with a right hook. Orito meets him fist to fist. They begin grappling as dust rises. The onlookers are stunned. Isn't Orito supposed to be the Kagamiya clan's absolute worst? Yet he is trading blows with Taito. Ren gasps softly. She had always assumed his claims were empty. Wrong, she was dead wrong. Kimura Sujito shakes his head, noting Orito is still lacking. The instructor nods in agreement. 1 month is not enough to fix everything. Orito mainly focused on fire release, boosting his nature transformation significantly, but his taijutsu did not, just as Kimura Sujito predicted. Orito is slowly pushed back. One spectator sighs in relief. He guessed correctly, but Orito finds an opening, kicking off Taito's punch to create distance before weaving hand seals. He did not practice fire release for a month just to trade punches. Fire style, great dragon fire technique. Orito finishes the signs, gathers chakra in his mouth, and releases a ferocious fire dragon at Taito. Taito is stunned. Orito has improved so much, but refuses to believe Orito's ninjutsu is any better, choosing to clash. Head-on fire style, great fireball technique. Taito blows out a massive man-sized fireball, a fanged fire dragon on one side, a blazing fireball on the other. Blazing sphere, both powerful techniques are about to collide, making the other students gasp in envy, as some have not even mastered the Academy 3-body technique. Onlookers from other classes quickly abandon any belief that Orito is the worst. Calling him an honor student is more accurate. Still, someone mutters that Taito's fireball still looks larger and will win. Kimura Sujito sighs in approval. Noting that kids from major clans are just different, he is already drafting a stellar grade for Orito, first round exit or not, just as the two techniques are. Just before colliding, the fire dragon suddenly rises to avoid the massive fireball. It dives back down. In that same breath, Orito dodges the fireball while controlling his dragon. Takedo never expected this. Clever play, a massive fireball cannot turn, seeing the dragon close in. Takedo desperately tries to dodge, only to realize he is too late, bracing for injury. Suddenly, Mutsuki Flash steps to his side, lifting him out of the combat area. After being set down, Takedo thanks him. Without his intervention, injury was absolutely guaranteed. Mutsuki nods and announces the result. First match goes to Orito, leaving some onlookers struggling to understand. They were expecting a massive clash of fire ninjutsu, but instead witnessed a clever redirect that ended the fight instantly. Someone mutters that Orito is not to be underestimated. Takedo's huge fireball looked impressive, but it was hard to hit. Orito's great dragon fire has a smaller range but is much more flexible and easier to connect. Ren cheers for him, genuinely thrilled. Defeating Takedo, despite Orito's weak grades, means nobody can call him the dead last anymore. Ninjas prove themselves with. Hearing her praise, Orito grins smugly and laughs, boasting that he told her it would be fine. In this moment, Orito is deeply grateful to Mutsuki. He knows this victory happened because Mutsuki trains him every day. His old self would have been crushed by Takedo's physical skills alone. A system notification pops up. Disciple Orito's trust level has increased, officially reaching level 3. Mutsuki glances at Orito, who is happily smiling at Ren. Apparently, being a lovesick fool has its perks. Trust levels are hard to raise, but a single level jump roughly doubles the system feedback. The previous gains were small only because Shinji and the others are still in the early stages. Once they grow, a higher trust level could mean tens of thousands of extra chakra points a year. Mutsuki's quiet target was 1 level 3 disciple per semester. Reaching 3 in a month is a huge bonus. The later matches are far less tense, requiring no teacher intervention. He scores quietly. While chatting with Kimura Sujido, he cannot wander around inspecting students. But he wants to since he still has an empty disciple slot. 3 are filled. And 1 is open. He refuses to waste it on anyone below S-rank potential. Kata is full of geniuses and the world is vast, so there is no rush. His panel updates to 5,300 chakra. The system evaluation reveals he has mastered many ninjutsu, including powerful advanced spells. Ordinary jonin are no match for him. His speed of improvement is decent, 1,000 chakra in a single month. His ninjutsu went from 2 to dozens. Morning passes and the first 2 rounds conclude. Goro does not get to prove himself the way Orito did. His early opponents are pretty average and, though he beats them quickly, it does not change public perception just yet. Mutsuki knows it is only a matter of time. The class practical exam will finish in the afternoon, crowning a champion then. At noon in the teacher office, the teachers discuss what they saw while proctoring, as Aikya grumbles enviously about Shirogami Hataru from Class 1, Grade 4, as expected of a Shiromi. Almost no one in Class 1 could last a minute against him. He will likely win. Aikya wishes he were Class 1's homeroom teacher, because then his bonus would be guaranteed, letting him take his blind date somewhere nicer, but that will not happen. Classes with good classes do not swap teachers easily, but Kimura Sujido casually mentions that Kagami Orito is quite strong and might compete for the title. Aiku just stares in shock. He assumes Sujido must mean Kagami Tato, but he definitely means Orito. Aiku refuses to believe it, since Kagami Orito is the famous class dead last. What strength could he possibly have? But Kimura Sujido confirms he is not lying. Orito's first opponent was Kagami Tato, and he won decisively, seeing Aiku still skeptical. Kimura Sujido pulls Mugetsu in. The teacher nods and confirms Orito's victory. Aiku scratches his head, believing him since Mugetsu is the highly respected academy instructor. He gained every teacher's approval after only a month. Aiku still cannot imagine how Orito did it, wondering if some sky master taught him advanced ninjutsu. Privately, Mugetsu thinks they have no idea. Once Goro shows his true strength, they will probably suspect a genjutsu. In reality, Aiku has basically won the jackpot. His teaching bonus is safe, and it is not entirely luck. He did work hard. He often asked Mugetsu to substitute, helping him recruit disciples and earn rewards. Aiku even treated Mugetsu to several meals, earning himself some good karma. Then Yuta speaks up. She was proctoring his first grade class and was very impressed. The overall level of their basic ninja techniques feels almost on par with second graders. One super genius in particular, Kagami Shinji, reminds her of a legendary student. He is just like Haka Kanero from years ago, the guaranteed practical champion. Aiku asks whether comparing the kid to Haka Kanero is really that much of an exaggeration. After all, Kanero is a recognized genius who promoted to Chunin just a year after graduating. Yuta nods. Yes, it is that crazy. Shinji is simply on another level entirely. He is far above the other first graders, leaving Aiku to envy Mugetsu openly. He jokes that the top performance review is easily Mugetsu's, but Yuta quickly corrects him. It is not just luck, it is because Mugetsu is an incredibly skilled teacher. Even the students from classes he only substitutes in loudly demand to have him back. Every single class he covers gives rave reviews. Aiku quickly backpedals in agreement. He admits his own students wish Mugetsu taught them every day. Mugetsu simply replies modestly that the kids themselves are diligent enough. He then practices calligraphy until the exam begins. Soon, everyone is back at training ground 16 for the afternoon matches. There are fewer students now, since the eliminated ones skipped out. Matches proceed quickly. One after another, candidates clash. Ren is unfortunately eliminated in the first round. Meanwhile, Goro continues his absolute clean sweep, dominated by sheer power and speed. When Goro decisively kicks his opponent in one shot, the spectators finally pay attention. His speed is unreal, Former classmates from his old grade are completely puzzled. He was only decent back then. Perhaps he trained like crazy during the break. Finally, the final match of the block arrives, Kagami Orito versus Mieta. They walk to the field. Orito glances at Ren standing on the sidelines. His fighting spirit surges. He does not want to lose. Goro replies happily, stating that to become the strongest, he must take every first place possible. The students who mocked them earlier now feel their faces sting with embarrassment. The former academy dead lasts are now the last two standing. They form the seal. As they hold the confrontation seal, the teacher calls the match. Orito immediately retreats. He casts ninjutsu while backing away, knowing Goro is a dangerous taijutsu specialist. He refuses to trade fists, spawning two clones. Now 3 Oritos stand. Clones crisscross to confuse Goro, but Goro's sheer speed outpaces Orito's expectations. A lightning-fast Konoha whirlwind kick quickly disperses those clones, sending the real Orito flying back over a meter. His arm is trembling, throbbing in pain from blocking that brutal kick. Goro immediately presses his advantage and closes the distance. In pure taijutsu, Orito simply cannot match his skill. Orito quickly falls behind. In the crowd, spectators eagerly debate who will win. One student predicts a quick victory for Goro. Another points out that Orito fell behind Takedo in taijutsu before winning with fire style. Some believe Orito is holding back his real ninjutsu power. He did defeat Takedo after all. Kimir Sujito asks the teacher for his prediction, and he bets on Goro. Orito's fire style is strong, but this flat open arena doesn't suit him. The teacher nods. On paper, their power is close, but Orito is like a turret with terrible close combat options and no way to cast without hand signs. Against a high-speed fighter like Goro in the open, he has no chance. The next instant proves it. Goro spots an opening, sending Orito flying with a leaf whirlwind. The teacher announces Goro the winner, a student who bet on Orito facepalms. Orito is consistent at being disappointing. When you expect him to lose, he wins. When you expect him to win, he fails. Later, a classmate asks Goro for his training secret. Goro thinks for a moment, then answers, "Wake up at 5:30, run around Konoha until class, then hit the training dummy all night. Oh, and on weekends, no rest." Having heard enough, the classmate's admiration quickly turns into pure horror. Even real shinobi wouldn't train like that daily. Meanwhile, Ren walks up to Orito, asking if he's okay. Orito brushes off the dust, insisting he's fine and just lost by a hair. He's totally lying too. Look cool, but Ren isn't fooled. She grabs his arm, rolls up his sleeve, spots severe bruises and glares, ordering him to the infirmary. She drags him away while his mouth protests. His body obediently follows. With that, the class exam concludes. Tomorrow, the top 2 of each class will fight to determine the grade's top student. Afterward, Goro plans to thank his teacher and head home to tell his father. He can already picture might die weeping tears of joy over youth, but the teacher stops him, pulling him aside to say he has something to give him. He congratulates Goro on taking first place and hands him a small booklet. It is a specialized taijutsu training manual the teacher wrote in his spare time, packed with advanced ideas for the future development of Konoha Whirlwind. He calls it a reward for first place. Goro looks at the manual, but then his sharp eyes catch faint gray ink stains on the teacher's hand, stains he clearly tried to wash out. He flips through, understanding everything. This wasn't just casually written, it was crafted specifically for him. Even without first place, the teacher would have given it to him. The training concepts for Konoha Whirlwind look completely tailor-made. Goro is deeply moved by the effort and tears well up. He vows emotionally that he won't let his teacher's hard work go to waste, promising to become the strongest. The teacher wipes his tears and pats his shoulder. For a mentor, seeing a student grow stronger is the greatest reward. He says it with total sincerity. Goro nods heavily. Goro grows stronger. As the boy walks away, the teacher smiles at his system message. He had gifted Goro a taijutsu training manual, thanks to the boy's immense gratitude. The reward triggered a massive critical hit, water-style chakra. Mastery is now granted. Goro's trust level has shot up to level 3. Such nature transformation mastery is far better than basic taijutsu. If he accumulates more of these, he might even develop his own unique bloodline limit. This sudden trust level jump is a bonus. For high-quality gifts, careful planning is worth it. Pushing a disciple's emotions to the limit makes epic rewards easier. If he had gifted it casually, the system would have only granted him some basic ninjutsu or taijutsu. Instead, he chose Goro's moment of victory, letting him see the ink on his palm before delivering inspiring words to layer the emotion. The first place win cemented those teachings, those inspiring words ignited the rest. He wonders if the system will issue exam rewards after results are out. When students perform this well, their teacher deserves a reward. The third day of exams moves incredibly fast. Only 2 students from each class represent their room. With only 8 classes per grade, many students who are not competing still crowd around to watch. Everyone wants to know. The 4th grade, someone spots Orito among the competitors, completely confused. His companion explains that Orito beat Kagami. The conversation drifts through other class representatives. Even the kids who once complained about Orito and Goro now cheer for them. The teacher watches the first round. Honestly, it looks like the top student of the grade will be Shinji. Orito and Goro are likely out. Hataru's gentle fist is well practiced, and his Byakugan gives him a massive advantage. Goro will struggle against him, and Orito will struggle even more. Shirami clan ninja have a massive early advantage. Their Byakugan is easier to awaken than the Sharingan, plus the gentle fist is an elite inherited taijutsu. Orito and Goro have only trained under him briefly. Their ceilings are not high yet, and their weaknesses remain. As the rounds progress, they reach the final 2 matchups, Orito versus Hataru and Goro versus a ninja from class 3, 4th grade. Exactly as expected, Orito does not even get to use a single ninjutsu. Hataru's gentle fist beats him badly. In the final, Goro performs much better, but his moves are still easily read by Hataru's Byakugan, and he cannot escape defeat either. Orito looks dejected. He wanted that top spot badly but failed to reach the top 2. The teacher passes by to comfort him. He tells him not to dwell on failure, but remember his massive improvement. Keep striving. Orito's mood brightens instantly. Last exam, he was 20th in his class, but now he almost made the top 2 of the grade. Calculated that way, his progress is immense, making first place feel close. The teacher walks to Goro. Surprisingly, Goro also looks dejected, despite having such a strong will. Thinking it over, the teacher suspects yesterday's taijutsu manual is the cause, making Goro feel the heavy weight of expectations. He offers words of comfort, explaining that failure is part of life, and he must never let defeat break him. Goro trembles, having faced endless failures, nearly failing the academy entrance. He failed. A single move defeat against Kanaro made him the dead last in every class. But now he finally seems to understand his father's words about how youth never fades. He tells Kazami he understands as his eyes harden. He knows he cannot just dwell on this loss. He must train harder and win until he becomes the absolute strongest. Kazami nods with satisfaction and walks on, finding Shinji surrounded by a large crowd of students. They are throwing questions at him but quickly greet Kazami as he approaches. Eiko trots over. She eagerly reminds him she placed 2nd in their grade, asking if there is a reward. Kazami smiles and pats her head, offering some dango. She cheers, calling him the absolute best. Standing nearby, Kota grumbles that Shinji got first place and did not even ask for anything. He complains that Eiko is just too impatient, but his irritation is not real. It is pure envy. Eiko belongs to the top-tier group, while Kota simply does not. Kazami chuckles, sends the other students away, and heads toward the lively shopping district with Shinji. Along the way, Kazami asks the young genius how he felt about the exams. Shinji thinks it over and answers honestly, calling the entire experience extremely ordinary. No one even forced him to use his full strength, which Kazami notes is normal. Given Shinji's power, few fourth graders can match him, let alone those in his own class. The boy looks at Kazami thoughtfully, noting the teacher's striking blue eyes. He suddenly asks if he should graduate early, leaving the instructor momentarily surprised. Past geniuses graduated early because the academy had nothing left to teach. Kazami shakes his head, firmly advising against graduating so early during his first year. He should wait until at least his second or third year before leaving. His strength is outstanding here, but real enemies outside will not be school peers. Especially now with war looming, if classes feel pointless, he has other options. He can use a shadow clone for school, while his real body trains under Kazami. In the original timeline, Shinji easily survived the Third Ninja World War. He even earned the legendary title of Shinji the Flash, but things are different. Kazami is here now, and the resulting butterfly effect is impossible to predict. Keeping him in school is safer. Why graduate early if you cannot easily defeat Chunin? Kazami himself would not feel safe on Konoha streets without Jounin-level strength. Shinji nods, his eyes lighting up as he readily accepts the teacher's wise advice. Kazami treats him to a mountain of dango before they head back for afternoon classes. The generous teacher hands out dango to every student in Class 1, Grade 1. He cannot only reward Eiko, but he slips her an extra portion as promised. She loudly declares him the best, sparking jokes about her forming a Kazami cult. The other kids eagerly express their thanks too, their admiration for him soaring. Their respect for him rises another notch. The academy operates with incredible speed. 2 days later, all results are officially posted, confirming Kazami's expectations. Early on results day, Kota runs into Izu on their way to school. He playfully wraps an arm around Izu's neck before letting him go. Kota asks why his friend looks so gloomy. Izu sighs, dreading the posted test results. He worries his score will be terribly low, but Kota pats his shoulder reassuringly. Kota jokes they probably failed together. Suddenly, Eiko intercepts them with a smile. They explain their worries, making Eiko grin triumphantly about her own performance. She is confident she scored high, meaning she can demand another reward from Kazami. While Izu and Kota have decent theoretical scores, her results are even better. They're practical scores, so naturally hers would be even higher. Izumo tells her she is second in their grade for practicals and did great in theory. He genuinely envies her. Enko swells with pride, strutting forward like a boss, the three of them. Meet Shisui and other Class 1 students at the school gate. Enko's expectations soar. If Shisui is only average, could she be first? Probably not. She thinks, but maybe top 5. Normally her grades are only average, at the bulletin board. A crowd is already formed. Discussions about scores are absolutely everywhere. Class 1 scores are ridiculously high, with so many 70s and 80s. Someone had perfect score and ranked first in practicals. Terrifying, as expected of Mugetsu. Sensei's class, Enko pushes through with Kotsu and Izumo, finding Class 1's results. 80 points, she exclaims, finding her name. Then she notices the ranking, looks off and asks them for their scores. Kotsu found his 92. What? She says, suspecting she misheard. 92, he repeats. Damn it, she slaps his shoulder hard and stares at him in disbelief. He said he did terribly. She demands to know how that counts as bad. He tries to say it was luck. She asks Izumo who got 97. Kotsu repeats 97, smiling wider. Kotsu's face falls. He was comforting him this morning. He locks his neck and drags him away. Enko joins in, sneaking in a cheeky punch. These two are way too hateful, scoring so well while deceiving her. After a month of diligent study, his disciple Shisui achieves a perfect score. The reward is 300 chakra and a ninjutsu scroll. It elevates any mastered ninjutsu to proficient level. After a month of diligent study, disciple Abido achieves a good score, rewarding 150 chakra. After a month of diligent study, disciple Guy achieves a good score, rewarding 150 chakra. As Mugetsu expected, the system rewards exams. The rewards are much richer than lecturing. He couldn't generate 600 chakra lecturing until his throat was raw for 3 days. A standard evaluation only yields 20. The rewards are lower only because Abido and Guy's theoretical scores were merely passing. And they missed first in practicals. A sudden thought crosses his mind. He should ask the school to hold more exams. The academy usually only has 2 per semester. If there were 10, he would soar. The thought dies quickly. If he did that, he would probably stop being able to farm rewards, his usual in class. Quizzes don't count as exams, and the system never rewards him for those. The suggestion wouldn't be accepted anyway. 10 exams a semester would completely exhaust students and teachers alike. He uses the ninjutsu proficiency scroll on water severing wave. A flood of training memories fills his mind. Although he has many ninjutsu now, he still believes water severing wave is his most powerful. At noon in the office, he becomes the center of conversation. Sujido cannot help asking how he teaches, since the students' theoretical scores are absolutely outrageous. The class averages are dozens of points higher than other classes. Aikya follows up, asking if he has any clever tricks. His own students barely passed this time, but next time is anyone's guess. Guy and Abido completely shocked him. They took the class's top 2 practical spots and easily passed theory. Just as he is about to answer, a teacher enters the office and tells him the principal is looking for him. Yuda's voice cuts through the morning chatter in the teacher's office, asking in a soft, quiet. He freezes. Is he actually being summoned to the principal's office? The Ninja Academy does not have many formidable teachers. Most of them are ordinary chunin, but the principal, no simple figure in the academy's history. Only 2 people have held that seat: the second shogun, Shajin Tabira, and the current third shogun. Even though Lord Third nominally heads the school, he almost never sets foot on campus outside the opening year speech, handling business at the Shogun building instead. That is why he is surprised. He is shocked. Believe it or not, Lord Third is actually waiting in the office today, summoning a single teacher, a rare event indeed. He sets down his papers. He nods politely, apologizing to everyone. He must leave now. They can discuss the lecture later. Aikya Yu waves him off quickly, telling him not to keep Lord Third waiting. His face shows such obvious envy, his eyes nearly turn into sour lemons. He has been teaching for years and has never even seen the inside of the principal's office, let alone received a personal summons. But when he thinks about the teacher's class results, an average in the 70s, while every other grade 1 class hovers between 40 and 50, with Kagami Shinji recognized as a super genius, and his students taking the top 2 practical scores in the grade, his envy vanishes. He knows he could not lead a class like that. The principal's office sits on the 5th floor, the top of the teaching building. His small office sits down on the 2nd. He climbs the stairs, glances at the sign by the door, and knocks. A dignified middle-aged voice tells him to enter. Inside, the layout is plain: a desk by the window, bookshelves along the walls, and a set of table and chairs near the door. The third shogun in person is not as old as he looks in the anime. His hair and beard are still black, his face unlined, and he is not wearing a shogun hat since he is at the academy. His gaze carries so much authority he does not need to show anger to feel intimidating. He stands, gestures the teacher toward the chairs, and tells him to sit. The teacher greets him respectfully as Lord Third and takes the seat offered, not overly modest nor presumptuous. In his previous life, the shogun's reputation was not especially clean. Many things got folded into his Schemes in the retelling, he does not know what the man actually sitting across from him is like, but as an academy teacher, his outward face must be impeccable, so even if he is cursing internally, he keeps his gentle smile in place. Lord Third chuckles and praises his teaching, noting his class's theory average runs 20 to 30 points higher than the others, and that in practical combat his students took the top 2 places, and that the proctors agreed his students handle transformation and clone techniques better than anyone else in their grade. He deflects with a modest answer that the students themselves are diligent, that he only did his best to teach, but he is careful not to be entirely modest. He wants him to hear both points, that the students' own effort matters and that he poured himself into teaching them, doing your best to teach. Well said, he replies with satisfaction, and declares that if the academy had more teachers like him, the next generation would not be a worry. He does not respond, he only shows an expression of attentive listening, because agreeing would imply the other teachers are good for nothing, and disagreeing would imply surely they are not serious. Then with another chuckle, he announces that based on Class 1 Grade 1's performance, he is designating him as outstanding teacher. This semester, he lets surprise then gratitude cross his face, and he thanks him. He adds worriedly that it has only been a month. Wouldn't that award tarnish his reputation if it gets out? He waves the concern away with a casual shrug. Hardiness in his voice. The title is for teachers who perform exceptionally, and if others lead classes like his, he will award them the same. Then he dangles the real bait. If he maintains this quality for another year, he will promote him to special jonin and appoint him vice class leader of the academy. Teacher class, he offers a grateful expression and says that as a teacher, his responsibility is to educate students well. That is always his first thought. Inwardly, he notes that Ganzo and the third shogun must have studied under the same master. Their inducements match almost word for word, both dangling special jonin, and compared to a title, he genuinely cares far more about his students' growth, because that is where the real money comes from. Seeing his sincere face, and as a man who has read countless people, he is convinced he is telling the truth, and his regard for him visibly climbs. Then he asks whether he would be willing to hear a more private matter. He nods, wondering what the Sandame is up to. He tells him his young son, Suda Ashuro, graduated this year and just became a genin, that the boy is immature in every way and gives him plenty of headaches, and he would like to hire him as a private tutor. With his demonstrated teaching level, he says guiding a newly graduated genin should be no problem. Talk about a hidden test, he can read between those lines easily. Him and the Outstanding Teacher Award and the Special Jonin Dangle are all designed to build goodwill, paving the road for when he eventually asks Ganzo for him outright. For him, those honors cost nothing but a sentence. He tells him he needs time to think it over. That surprises him. He clearly had not expected him to hesitate. He explains that he teaches every weekday and spends his weekends planning the next week's lessons, and he would only accept if he could guarantee teaching quality on both sides, so please allow him time to consider. He laughs, calls him an excellent teacher again, and dismisses him. As he walks out, he runs the appraisal on him. Name Tsuruta Hiroki, chakra 170,000, potential as highly talented, skilled in combination ninjutsu. A single nature transformation may not compare to bloodline limits, but what could anyone do if he used 5 simultaneously? The peak third shogun, he thinks, startled and a little envious at that trail of zeros in the chakra readout, over 100,000 more than Naminoya Manuru had when he read him in the library. Of course, Manuru is only 18 and still growing. Comparing Ninja in his prime to one mid-development is not fair. As he walks back to the office, he is already drafting how to write the report for Ganzo. Lack of time and needing careful consideration were just excuses. He is not so busy that he could not spare a weekend hour. He could feel Lord Third trying to curry favor, or else he would not have mentioned the outstanding teacher title and special Jonin promotion at all, but his sincerity was too thin, all empty. Titles and no real benefits, if he had exposed his shadow branch identity. If Lord Third had just ordered him to follow, he would have kicked Gonzo aside instantly. Instead, the leader hesitates, classic old playboy behavior. If he had agreed immediately, he would have gotten absolutely nothing out of Gonzo. So it is better to hold back the answer and throw the problem onto Gonzo. Lap, does Lord Third know his secret shadow branch identity? It is not impossible, but highly unlikely. The shadow branch cannot be brought into the light if the third shogun does not even know a shadow branch. Ninja joined his academy, his position would be totally meaningless. Back in the office, the other teachers crowd around to ask what happened. Yude asks if Lord Third was giving him an award. Ayu guesses that is it, since the exam results were so strong for a new teacher. He tells them only that he was confirming his teaching achievements. Then he takes out paper and pen to start calligraphy in deep thought. Kamira Sujito sighs, wondering when Lord Third will finally recognize him. The gap between their talents is vast. He says he still remembers Mitsuki's inexperience when he first arrived, never expecting him to surpass an elder so quickly. Mitsuki just tells him to do his best at teaching and keep practicing calligraphy. IKEA predictably asks him to cover his afternoon class because he has errands. Mitsuki agrees since he is free. Then he turns to Kinner Sujito, trying to borrow 80,000 ryo for a date, and they start to bicker about whether the girl even likes him, while Kim Sujito lectures him about his awful finances. Kimura Sujito lends it anyway. Mitsuki thinks idly that if this world had short videos filming IKEA's office life as a weekly drama would make bank, and then he wouldn't need to borrow anything. After that, he settles down to calligraphy until class. When he walks into the classroom, the students perk up, absolutely thrilled. Mitsuki-sensei is covering ninjutsu today. Oreo predictably bursts in 5 minutes late in a sprint, sees him at the podium, and freezes. Mitsuki gestures for him to sit and starts teaching the clone technique as the students requested. Oro grumbles to himself that IKEA-sensei should have warned him. During the break, Mitsuki calls Oreo and Goro out to ask about their exam scores. They declare in unison that they passed, chests puffed, though when he gets the details, Orito barely cleared 30 when the passing mark had been inflated to 60 from the usual 25. He scratches his head and says he doesn't know why the scores were higher this time, and Goro suggests it is because he covered the class. Goro, of all people, could feel the difference between him and the other teachers. Burrito panics that next time will be even higher, and Mitsuki smiles, telling him that passing is his most basic requirement. If he cannot manage that, everything else will be personally arranged. The two of them remember the terror of practice papers and vow they will pass next time as well. That evening, he writes his report for Gonzo and sends it off. The reply comes quickly. 3 scrolls lie before him. The first holds 200,000 ryo, which he pockets. Cash is always good in any world, and ninjas are heavy spenders. Ninja tools and secret medicines bleed coin fast. The second is a C-rank fire release jutsu flame bullet, which he had not drawn before, but already does not need to practice since he has mastered plenty of powerful fire release techniques already. The third is Gonzo's reply to his report, first praising his success, calling him he is praised for becoming a great teacher, pleasing Lord Third immensely, and then gets bombarded with pages of manipulative praise, urging him forward. He skips straight to the actual mission: become Saruda Ashuro's tutor, gain his trust, and earn his absolute respect. He quickly puts the ninjutsu scroll away and burns the other 2, noting with a soft sigh that old man Ganzo still hasn't given up on the shogun seat. Clearly, he is targeting Lord Third's youngest son, at most. He will sacrifice a few precious weekend hours. If Ashuro's talent actually reaches S rank, he might make him a disciple. One slot remains open, a sudden thought. Crosses his mind now, should he sell the house in the main district? The original owner did not live near the sparsely populated southern Mere forest from the start. He actually inherited a house in the main district from his parents and only relocated to the forest to conceal his identity. He used to go back once a year to clean the place. Since he is not living there anyway, selling it makes total sense. He recalls the location is excellent. The money could let him buy more secret cultivation medicines. Every self-improvement counts, even with the system's help, so he sets out for the main district. He finds the house from memory. Just as he goes to fit the key into the lock, a handsome blonde figure steps out next door and greets him, curiously asking if he is a new neighbor. It is Namanoya Minoru. He recognizes him immediately, and Minoru recognizes him just as fast from their library encounter. Once, since Minoru has golden hair and blue eyes, running into another man with the same features and a gentle smile left a deep impression. Magetsu tells him this is his home. He moved out but rarely comes back. In that instant, his mind shifts. The house does not need selling at all. He had been wondering how to get close to learn Minoru and Lena's secret sealing techniques for free, and now they are neighbors. Minoru is the one who moved in later. Then a vibrant female voice announces Karen's arrival. She looks at Magetsu and playfully teases Minoru for never mentioning a handsome brother who looks so identical. Karen Yuzashio, he confirms with a quick appraisal. Red hair, mischievous energy, sheer presence. Minoru apologizes for her wild behavior and realizes mid-sentence that he does not even know the neighbor's name. Magetsu introduces himself as Kazami Magetsu. She introduces herself as Karen Yuzashio, and Minoru gives his own name with a smile. Her hair, Magetsu tells her, is a beautiful fiery red. Her eyes light up, and she gives him a thumbs up, praising his taste. As the door opens, accumulated dust swirls out, and he apologizes that he cannot host them properly inside yet, since he needs to clean first. They take their leave gracefully. As Karen walks off, he runs the panel. Name Karen Yuzashio, chakra 150,000, ? Potential SS skilled in sealing techniques, possessing an enormous amount of special chakra beyond ordinary reach, enough chakra to make him openly envious. The question mark is a first, likely because she is already the nine-tailed beast's host, and the massive beast inside is not separately appraised, so the system adds the marker, SS. Potential is easily the highest he has ever seen. Based on the original work, he would guess at least one S rank comes from the beast. Without it, she drops to S rank. With SS, she would otherwise easily outclass even Lord Third, and with Minato living in Sector S, Matsuki unleashes the Shadow Clone Jutsu to summon 10 clones to sweep the house and wipe away the dust, silently saluting Tabarama's convenient and brilliant genius. Afterwards, he buys daily necessities to stock the place, deciding there is absolutely no rush to visit Minato. No rush, staying here occasionally will let them naturally become friends. That evening, he opens the window, enjoying the cool breeze as he designs his disciples' upcoming training plans. Neither Orito nor Garo took first place in their grade, and both require targeted, intensive training. Shinji also needs chakra control, both to boost his current combat power and lay a genjutsu foundation. Later, the next day, Matsuki heads to the Hawkage building after morning classes. Lord Third cannot wait in a teacher's office every day for his answer, so he requested a direct visit. If Matsuki accepted, stopped on the Hawkage office floor. He gets cleared once he mentions Lord Third's summons, then knocks on the door to announce his arrival. Hearing Lord Third call him inside, Kazami opens the door to find Minato already there, leaving them both briefly surprised by the unexpected meeting. Lord Third introduces Matsuki as their new teacher. Kazami's incredible teaching abilities make him a perfect special tutor choice. Noticing their stunned expressions, Minato quickly explains to the Hawkage that they are actually neighbors. Calling it fate, Lord Third encourages them both to bond and collaborate. Minato soon politely excuses himself from the room. Himself soon after, the Hokage's office is no place for idle chatting, and Matsuki agrees. He tells Lord Third he can spare several hours on the weekends. With careful planning, Lord Third laughs, delighted, leading into the salary discussion. The Hokage is quite generous, offering 2,000 ryo per hour for 8 hours across the weekend, paid weekly. Matsuki sets the tutoring schedule to run from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. each day, that Friday. Having no academy classes, Matsuki heads straight to his quiet training spot by the river. Shinji is already there, practicing fire release techniques with a shadow clone. Ever since Shinji claimed the top spot in his grade, he has sent a clone to classes, while his real body trains diligently by the river during the day. Dismisses the clone, and Shinji immediately stops to respectfully greet teacher Matsuki, who hands him a towel to wipe off the sweat, quietly appraising the young disciple. Shinji's chakra sits at 580, with double S- potential. His chakra has surged significantly since last month, thanks to intense daily training. And a naturally developing body, meaning his growth curve is about to accelerate very rapidly. What slightly annoys Matsuki is the system panel's simplicity, showing only basic stats. Regardless, he tells Shinji that the plan is changing today to focus on flash steps and chakra control, since Shinji is destined to earn his legendary title. During the Third Ninja War, the basics of this high-speed category are a natural fit, and the boy nods without objection. Flash step is not technically a single ninjutsu, but an entire category where anything producing a rapid flickering effect qualifies. At advanced levels, even legendary spacetime techniques like instant transmission and lightning armor fit right in. Matsuki does not know those advanced arts, owning only the common version. That requires forming hand signs, gathering leg chakra, and unleashing a burst. It prepares the body for high-speed movement, but overusing it causes intense muscle fatigue and injury. This basic style is incredibly practical for ambushes, retreats too. Shinji's talent does not disappoint. He has not even activated his Crimson Mirror Eye yet. After one quick demonstration, he has the flash step working. School is out. Goro and Orid arrive at the training ground. Their sensei tells them not to start just yet. He has a 2-month special training plan ready. Orido looks up. Is it a powerful new ninjutsu? The sensei simply shakes his head. Orido hasn't even mastered the Great Dragonfire or Fireball techniques yet. Why teach him anything new? Orido deflates as his teacher explains the plan. The goal is defeating Shirogami Hataru in the upcoming final exam. Orido's close combat is too weak. Forget Hataru, even Goro could easily shut him down before he can cast a single spell, so martial arts are the absolute priority. Orido wants to argue, but he stops. His losses prove it. Fights look like magic duels, but if you fight like a glass cannon, you die first. You need speed. Strong ninja always possess solid physical skills. As for Goro, he must double down on raw strength. He has to become faster, much faster. Fast enough that even if Hataru's pale sight eye tracks his movements, his reflexes cannot keep up. The eye sees, but the body fails. Goro only needs to outrun Hataru's physical reactions, not the eye itself. Now comes the hard rule. From now on, every hour of training features a twist. They will spend 30 minutes in brutal, weaponless combat, no spells allowed. Absolutely none. Orito instantly wails. He already could not win before. And now this, talk about a complete beatdown. Their sensei is absolutely brutal. He reminds him that to win, he must survive without any spells. Orid remembers his big boast in front of New Ren and accepts his tearful fate. A new round begins. The sensei wonders if this triggers a system reward. He has not unlocked one yet and does not know the threshold. Saturday morning arrives. Orido, Shinji, and the others begin training. Orido copies basic physical moves. After an hour, his teacher stops him. Handing over fresh water and wiping his sweat, Orito instantly freezes. Something is wrong. His teacher is good, but never this considerate. Getting water is normal, but wiping sweat usually means throwing a towel. The sensei smiles warmly and tells him he has massive untapped potential. Orito immediately breaks out in a cold sweat, pleading that his potential has already been fully unlocked. He begs to stop. The sensei shakes his head. He disagrees completely. He tells Orito he underestimates himself. Time for a little deal. Every time Goro hits him, Orito must complete one extra math problem. Surely this will unleash his limits, or at least improve his grades. Now watch how fast Orito tries to feign deep concern for him. What if he gets hit hundreds of times? Orito claims he would hate to exhaust his master with writing questions. Under pressure, his talking skills actually improve. The sensei is touched by this sudden kind concern. But just as Orito thinks he is safe, his master pulls out. Holding a stack of test papers, Mugetsu smiles. He prepared plenty for such a studious kid. If those aren't enough, his shadow clones can easily make more. Orito instantly panics. No more, he begs. Under the warm sun, Orito shivers in fear. A deep chill runs straight down his spine. Since direct begging failed, he tries another way. Orito decides on a sneaky, roundabout route. If he can't avoid problems, he'll do fewer. He winks at Goro, signaling his friend to go easy on him. Goro flashes his sparkling white teeth, giving a huge thumbs up. Then Mugetsu drops a second rule. If Goro doesn't land a single hit, he gets 50 problems. Every hit reduces Orito's workload by 1. Up to a maximum of 40, Goro's face completely changes. This time his thumbs up is deadly serious. Orito frantically begs him not to go all out, but Goro declares that for the sake of youth, he must give everything to help. Orito definitely doesn't want homework, and neither does Goro. Let the absolute chaos of youth begin. Unleashing 120% speed, Orito, desperate to avoid homework, finds a sudden burst of potential after taking a dozen hits. His movements sharpen, watching them. Mugetsu nods in pure satisfaction. They both possess an insane amount of untapped potential. Once stamina drains, the battle ends. Orito got absolutely battered. 30 times, earning 30 math problems, while Goro only took a dozen. Mugetsu finds the training results brilliant. At this rate, within 2 months, Hadaru won't stand a chance. It's a shame En lacks top-tier talent. If only he could take her as a disciple. Motivating Orito would be incredibly easy, but to maintain a low profile, he refuses. To train outsiders, there is an even better candidate out there, Hakakanero. But since he became a chunin 2 years ago, he's unlikely to become a student. His genius would have easily motivated both boys to work 10 times harder. Mugetsu stays through lunch, leaves 2 shadow clones behind, and sends his main body to Lord Third's house for private tutoring. Since it's working hours, he doesn't meet Lord Third himself, but instead finds a middle-aged woman with a single ponytail. This is his wife, Lady Bayako. She instantly recognizes him from her husband's description and points him toward the backyard, explaining that young Asuro is waiting. She warns that the boy is quite rebellious, asking him to please bear with him. If he gets completely out of hand, she says to let her know. Mugetsu reassures her with a smile, mentioning his special methods for troublemakers before heading outside. In the yard, a 9-year-old lies lazily against a tree, chewing on a blade of grass. Looking bored, appraisal shows Asuro has 1100 chakra with high potential. Mugetsu shakes his head. If it were S rank, he might be tempted, but this rank is a tier below. Asuro spits out the grass without standing, asking if this guy is Kazami Mugetsu, the new tutor. Before Mugetsu can reply, the boy adds that if he can't help him surpass his father, the third shogun, he might as well just leave. The kid is clearly trying to gain the upper hand with an opening threat, but without waiting for his reaction, Mugetsu simply shakes his head and says of course not. Then just leave, Asuro retorts, lying back down with smug confidence. That the teacher won't. Fine, Mugetsu replies, saying he'll tell Lady Bayako there's no need, and he turns away. Asuro's brain instantly short-circuits. What in the world is happening? Why isn't he following the script? Shouldn't the teacher be trying to persuade him? Seeing Mugetsu actually walking toward the exit, Asuro flips up like a fish, shouting for him to stop. If his tutor quits right now, he is in deep trouble. After a scolding from his mother, the tutor smiles, saying he was told to leave but now to stay. With a half-smile, he notes how difficult that makes things. Ashuro tries to offer a compromise, lowering his demands if the tutor obeys him during class. The tutor shakes his head, saying high demands are not the issue here. Claiming a lack of ability to meet them, he turns to leave again. Ashuro snaps, telling him he does not have to listen, but begs him not to go. Exhausted and completely out of options, Ashuro gives up. The tutor asks if they can start. He chuckles. With rebellious students, one simply has to be even more rebellious. It is all about fighting fire with fire. Ashuro relents, asking what he wants to teach. He does not hate learning, he just hates his father making all the decisions. The tutor looks around, deciding the backyard is too small for proper training. He tells Ashuro to take them to a nearby forest with a river. He wants to test his chakra control. Ashuro brags that this is easy. He scrambles up the trunk, using only his limbs like a monkey, using no chakra. Then he crows about his speed. Meanwhile, Lord Third watches through a crystal ball. The old leader rubs his forehead in silence. Even his own nickname was Monkey. Yet he never did anything this foolish. The tutor simply smiles and praises him. He compliments his strength before stripping the branches off a nearby sapling. He pours oil down the trunk, smiling as he calls the previous climb a warm-up. Now the real test begins. His face twitches. Even the best climber would struggle. Climbing a slick pole with bare hands is impossible. The tutor tells him it is okay to fail. Admitting defeat takes courage. Ashuro snaps, claiming he can easily climb the tree. He channels chakra to his feet immediately, starting his climb up the slippery trunk. He reaches the very top easily. The tutor nods, praising his impressive control. Next is the river. If Ashuro can stand on the water for 10 minutes without falling, he can train however he likes from now on. His eyes instantly light up. Thinking he has an easy victory on this 20-meter river, he confidently strolls out. Standing on the surface, he complains about his overbearing and controlling father. He is already a ninja and cannot wait to brag about gaining his freedom. But before he can plan his celebration, the water beneath him begins to churn. Water release, water dragon bullet, the tutor calls out from the bank. A massive roaring dragon of water erupts, violently churning the river and throwing up waves. Ashuro nearly slips, shouting back to ask what his teacher is doing. The tutor calmly explains that he is merely simulating a real combat scenario. In battle, rivers are never calm. Besides, this serves as great training. If the challenge is too much, the tutor offers to stop right now. After all, admitting limitations is a sign of wisdom. Ashuro swallows his protests. Desperate to prove he is above needing a mentor, he refuses to back down. He fully focuses on his chakra, determined not to show any signs of weakness. He manages to hold on for 5 minutes before slipping and getting pulled out. The tutor sighs, telling him his control still needs work, so no free training. Ashuro snaps back, blaming the fall entirely on the constant interference of the tutor. The tutor calmly asks if his enemies will politely refrain from using ninjutsu. Angered, Ashuro tries again, lasting 7 minutes, then 7.5 until sunset. Reaching 10 minutes, he shouts in triumph, instantly loses control and falls. He tumbles in, swallowing river water, but the teacher quickly pulls him out. Dripping wet but glowing with excitement, the boy asks if he can train freely now. The teacher asks who told him that, instantly freezing the boy's smile. Asuro asks if surviving 10 minutes meant free training, and the teacher nods. But the teacher meant his very first attempt, which he failed completely. Thinking back, he realizes it is true. leaving him wondering what he was pushing for. The physical exhaustion and sudden emotional shock completely break his spirit. He nearly faints from his teacher's tricks, while Lord Third watches everything from afar. Observing through his crystal ball, the old leader strokes his beard in deep thought. He boastfully claims his teaching is truly formidable. The boy's chakra control receives a workout, prompting him to vow revenge. Feeling completely played all afternoon, he plans his payback while the teacher finishes up. Rather than returning to the southern forest, the teacher heads home. He cooks up 2 simple dishes for a quick dinner before taking a walk outside. After all, making new friends requires him to leave his house. He wanders around for a while before spotting Minoru and Karina sitting in the park. They chat on a bench in the cool evening breeze as Minoru waves. He asks if the teacher is out walking, earning a nod as he sits down nearby. The teacher explains he is digesting dinner, prompting Karina to speak up. She asks if he really teaches at the academy since none of her friends do. He confirms he just started this year, leaving Minoru looking quite surprised. Leading such a formidable class in his very first year is incredibly impressive, he notes. Karina looks confused, so Minoru explains that even Lord Third praised his work. The old leader praised his teaching yesterday and wanted to hire him for his family. Earning that kind of praise so quickly means his skills must be outstanding. Hearing this, Karina is surprised, as she usually ignores Lord Third but respects his judgment. The teacher modestly downplays the praise, sharing the credit with his students. He turns the compliment back to Minoru, calling him an incredibly impressive young ninja. Becoming a Jonin so young makes him a vital force in the village. Karina laughs heartily, proudly bragging that Minoru is easily one of the strongest ninjas around. She then proudly reminds him that she is a Jonin too. Acting surprised, the teacher praises the Uzumaki Jonin, which makes her like him even more. She finds him highly agreeable and wishes she could introduce a friend. If her dear friend Makoko were not already married, she would definitely introduce the two. After all, he is handsome and capable enough to win Lord Third's respect. They chat a bit longer before the teacher wisely decides to make his quiet exit for the night. He does not want to disturb a young couple on their stroll. The next day, he trains Oroto and Goro until noon before heading to see Lord Third. He brings young Asuro back to the quiet riverside from the day before. The boy immediately protests that he is far too tired, leaning heavily against a nearby tree. He has secretly resolved that no amount of teasing will move him. Asking if the boy wants to sleep, the teacher flashes an incredibly gentle, warm smile. But the boy instantly senses a bad omen and stubbornly says yes. He claims he barely slept, but to his absolute surprise, the teacher simply nods in complete agreement. The weather is perfect and the breeze is soft, making it ideal for sleeping. Kazami stretches, leans back against a tree, and casually remarks that tutoring is a pretty sweet gig. He says you can just lie down, sleep, and wake up to find they have earned 100,000 ryo. Kazami closes his eyes, making the kid yell wait, his eyes widening. Why are you making so much noise? Kazami asks, keeping his eyes shut. Are you actually sleeping? The boy asks, shaking him by the shoulder to wake him. What else could it be? Kazami opens his eyes and asks with a straight face. Of course it is the tuition fee. Did the kid think he worked for free? Even the shogun pays a tutor and Kazami's fees are high. 25,000 ryo an hour, teaching 4 hours a day makes 100,000. Is your mouth made of gold? The boy sputters. He knows his monthly school allowance is only 50,000 ryo, which is considered pretty generous. Yet this tutor apparently earns his entire monthly allowance in just 2 hours. Kazami calmly tells him to go ask the academy about the name Kazami Mugetsu. Then he will know if it is worth it. But why have I never heard of you? He argues. Feeling tricked, Kazami explains he joined after the boy graduated, then closes his eyes to sleep again. The boy shouts not to sleep, begging to train, panicked at the idea of wasting that cash. Weren't you tired? Kazami asks, smiling. the boy realizes he has been totally tricked since Kazami was not even sleeping. Now he has no choice. This is a 25,000. Rio tutor, I am well rested, he mutters darkly, demanding they start. He also plans to complain to his mother about hiring such an expensive waste of money, especially since other Jonin teachers exist. Today, they continue their chakra control. 15 minutes on the water, repeating yesterday's drill. As he struggles not to fall, Kazami uses water release from the bank to mess with him, where yesterday his motivation was purely to spite his father. Today it is Kazami's ridiculous fee. At dinner, he complains to Biwako about the 25,000 Rio tutor, calling him a massive waste. Biwako is shocked too, noting that is equivalent to one person clearing a B rank mission in 4 hours. The stunned Lord Third laughs and corrects him, saying Kazami's fee is only 2,000 Rio an hour. Hearing this, Ashuro's face completely falls. He has been played, he roars internally, cursing Kazami Mugetsu, then channels his grief into his appetite, eating ravenously and vowing not to fall for any tricks next week. On Monday morning, inside the grade 1 classroom, only half the students have arrived. Kota traps Izio in a headlock, growling that he actually dared to ask for a girl's introduction after pretending to do terribly on the last exam. Only to score high, Kota asks if it is fun messing with his brother while Izio cries. Innocence, swearing it was an accident, and he only scored 5 points higher than Kota anyway. Kota lets him go, but warns that setting him up will be tough. His annoying cousin recently told Miho some of his deepest secrets, and now he cannot face her. How can there be such a treacherous, evil villain? Izio exclaims. You are exaggerating. Eiko cuts in from the side, asking why they even need to meet a girl when she is right there. Izio and Kota look at each other in dead silence before Izio finally says it is hard to explain. Just know they are brothers. Honestly, if she had not spoken up, Izio would have completely forgotten Eiko is even a girl. After all, no normal girl stands on desks screaming at the class. Her behavior is far more masculine than theirs, so he barely registers her as one. Just then, Kazami walks in, and Eiko directly asks if he thinks she looks like a girl. Kazami smiles and nods, saying of course she does, and a very cute girl at that. Outside of her wild actions, little Eiko is actually a pretty cute girl. She beams brightly and makes a funny face at Kota and Aya, who stare back completely speechless. What kind of girl asks this, then mocks the answer? Soon the theory class ends. Lecture completed, reward arrives. Demonic illusion, trebunding death. The memories and execution of this B-rank technique settled directly into his mind. That gives him another illusion to pass along to Shinji. This new one and the demonic illusion hell viewing technique he obtained earlier. Trebunding death entangles the opponent inside illusory trees so their physical body cannot move, while keeping their mind fully conscious. This is perfect for interrogation. Hell viewing forces them to face their worst fears. No class is scheduled this afternoon, but the 6th grade teacher asks him to substitute. In that classroom, he immediately spots 2 highly recognizable characters from the original story, starting with Shinatani Genta with B+ potential and Ibisuk at B-. Sadly, their talent level is not very high. Since the class is graduating, he focuses on the clone technique since that is their graduation test. Before long, the amazed students whisper that the rumors are true. This Kazami sense is an incredible teacher. With some sighing that it is a shame he only teaches one first-grade class. Having systematically studied how to be a highly effective educator using his advanced professor skill, and possessing a mind packed with elite ninja knowledge, the quality gap between him and ordinary Chunin teachers is starkly visible. Still, their loud praise does not make him arrogant, because he is fully aware that the academy's overall teaching environment is heavily distorted. Honestly, who can blame him for asking who actually teaches here? A teacher's salary might keep someone comfortable in kata, but it falls terribly short of funding real ninjas' training and growth. most academy teachers are quite mediocre and lack ambition. If they had drive, they would be running missions and training hard instead of teaching, unless they have an incredibly heavy sense of responsibility. Why would they study education? Kata's higher-ups obviously know this truth, which is why squad leaders exist to give students small group training after graduation, but that has little to do with him. As a simple teacher, he can only focus on his own classroom quality. With his lecture complete, the evaluation reward is fire. Release great fireball technique. He seems to have a real connection with this specific move, receiving it for the third time, as the elite cultivation memories flood in. He senses his great fireball has finally reached the system's proficient level. After school, he meets his disciples at their usual training ground. Arito comes running right up to him, bows deeply and begs, "Matsuki-sensei, this is my once-in-a-lifetime favor to ask. Please, you absolutely have to." Agree. Matsuki calmly points out that without even hearing the favor, he cannot possibly agree. The boy wants him to teach a powerful fire release ninjutsu to secure first place in the youth ninjutsu competition, having actively participated in this specific tournament once before. He thought his great fireball would guarantee a win, but ran into the super genius Kanero and lost the top spot. Seeing advertisements again, he decided to challenge Kanero to a rematch. He still feels unsure. Though Great Dragon Fire lacks visual impact, and his Great Fireball, written as a massive attack but looking like a tiny ember, is even worse, he believes in Matsuki's strength. Suddenly, 3 system pop-ups appear. His disciple, Kagami Orito, has set it. A new cultivation mission appears: win first place in the Youth Ninjutsu Tournament. Rewards are based on completing the goal and growing stronger during the mission. These unexpected pop-up messages immediately cause Matsuki to pause and think. He never expected his master-disciple system to offer these cultivation missions. Why has not a single one triggered before now, despite earlier disciple events? Surely Orito wanting first place in practical combat should have triggered it. Clearly, strict conditions are at play here. Since this is the first trigger, he cannot determine everything. But the main requirement is clear, real desire. Seeing Orito's begging, expectant eyes, he is absolutely sure of it. "Please agree just this once," Orito begs. "I will do anything." He promises to double his training efforts and obey every future order. He still cannot get over losing so miserably to Kanero in front of Ren. Matsuki nods, helpless, but Orito completely lights up at the gesture. Orito instantly cheers that Matsuki is the absolute best teacher alive. "Save those compliments for after you win," Matsuki says with a tap. Orito knows a good mentor. Matsuki's classes are never boring. He makes learning easy and treats everyone well, so what else is there? "What skill will you teach?" "Fire release, great fireball." Orito protests immediately. He already knows that move and used it before. He only scored 20 points with it before Kanero retaliated with Earth Release. That massive Earth Jutsu controlled the whole arena and scored a perfect 30. "Do you want real power?" Matsuki asks, detailing Orito's current fire options. Out of everything Orito can learn right now, Great Fireball has the most. Matsuki walks to the river, weaves his hand signs, and calls the technique. He gathers massive chakra, instantly converting it into raw heat as he exhales. Raging flames continuously erupt from his mouth, creating a massive sphere of heat. The fire forms a giant 10-meter fireball, completely dwarfing Matsuki's tall frame. Orito, Shinji, and Goro are left utterly paralyzed by the sheer scale. Shinji remembers seeing Matsuki practice this at home, which was terrifying then. Honestly, who wouldn't be terrified seeing their teacher display such unfathomable power? He realizes their teacher might not even be using his full power yet. "Is this really Great Fireball?" Orito stammers out, completely dumbfounded. Compared to his teacher's blast, his own move feels like a tiny spark. "It is just too massive," Goro sighs, realizing he must get faster. The fireball crashes into the river, vaporizing a massive volume of water instantly. Thick white mist erupts, which Matsuki quickly disperses using a simple wind release. He smiles. Is the power of this fireball enough, more than enough? Orito nods furiously like a pecking chick, knowing even a fraction wins him the tournament. Inwardly, Matsuki knows this was pure showmanship, wasting 1,000 points of chakra. It is highly impractical in real combat and notoriously terrible at hitting targets. Back in his previous life, fans actually counted the statistics across the series. Across more than 700 episodes, they discovered that no matter who cast it. And get this, the famous technique never actually hits a single opponent, earning its famous nickname as the ninjutsu that cannot hit anyone. Now, try it. Oreo forms the hand signs and exhales fire. Embarrassingly, his fireball is only the size of 2 human heads. Goro tries to comfort his embarrassed classmate. But the teacher cuts Oreo off, asking why his fireball is so different from his own. Oreo guesses he just hasn't mastered it yet, but there are 3 reasons. The teacher explains. First, his chakra control is too poor to manage his reserves. Second, his nature transformation is too weak to quickly turn chakra into massive flames. And third, he simply lacks mastery. With that, the teacher pulls out a small booklet and hands it over, filled with his personal notes on fire. Release chakra nature transformation. If Oreo studies and puts in the work, his training bottleneck will finally clear. Right now, his foundation lags far behind Shinji's. The teacher had to spend a whole month rebuilding Oreo's basics, while teaching him great dragon fire. That is why this manual was held back. Without this sudden mission, he would have waited until next semester. A student cannot learn everything all at once. Suddenly, a system notification pops up. You gifted your disciple the Fire Release Chakra Nature Transformation Cultivation Manual. Because of your disciple's immense gratitude, you have received a massive critical hit reward. Fire Release Searing Migraine Mastery. He never expected Oreo's gratitude to be so powerful, granting him master-level fire release instantly. Searing migraine is no ordinary technique either. It is a B-rank skill used by Kakudos. Fire Attribute Mask. It is incredibly strong and pairs perfectly with the wind style pressure damage he obtained earlier, creating an instant sea of devastating fire, capable of instantly burning down entire forests. Talk about a massive power-up. Suddenly, for a second, he feels like a ninja who spent 30 years quietly mastering searing migraine in some hidden corner of the world, mastering this single technique to effortless perfection. I will read this every day, Oreo vows, cradling the like a priceless treasure. There is one more thing. The teacher smiles. Train your chakra control. First, once he finishes basic tree climbing and water walking, a special training method designed for a shuro will begin. Oreo does not know what the teacher is planning, but remembering those brutal training weekends, he knows it will be highly painful and incredibly effective. He just puffs out his chest and steals himself. After all, he asked for it. The teacher has Oreo try tree climbing first. Heida's eastern forest has no shortage of wood. 20-meter-tall trees are everywhere, and even grander ones are common. Pointing to a massive trunk, the teacher tells him to focus chakra at his soles and run up. Taking a deep breath, Oreo charges upward, loses control at 10 meters, leaves a deep mark, and falls back down. The teacher catches him midair, not quite at a shuro's level, but decent. He did not fall immediately. There are no shortcuts to this training, only endless, repetitive practice. After demonstrating a few times, the teacher leaves a shadow clone behind to supervise, then heads over to check on Goro's conditioning. Goro's daily routine is easily the most boring of the 3 disciples, while Oreo switches to ninjutsu when taijutsu gets exhausting. Goro only practices his leaf whirlwind and hard physical conditioning. Building a perfect body takes time, and the teacher's unique mentoring skills cannot speed up muscle growth. It can help Goro refine his combat forms faster, but it cannot instantly accelerate raw bodybuilding. One push-up still yields the results of exactly one push-up as he walks. Goro is grinding out push-ups with a massive stone block strapped to his back. Matsuki asks him how the kata whirlwind technique is coming along to test his mission triggers. Since Goro has a solid level 3 trust, he is the perfect test subject. Just like Orito, Goro is the best candidate. He is slightly faster now. He replies without moving, but it is not fast enough yet. He unstraps the heavy stone and unleashes a sharp kata whirlwind kick. His strikes are way more decisive now, likely from his fight with Hadaru. Normal physical training never works this fast. Actual physical change takes months. Matsuki throws a question his way. How do you think someone truly improves their strength? Goro looks completely puzzled. By cultivating, obviously, he answers without hesitation. Matsuki shakes his head. Sure, cultivation is important, but are there other methods? Goro scratches his head, thinking back to his training and academy exams. He remembers his improved whirlwind and academy exams, and a light bulb goes off. Combat, he says. Exactly, Matsuki smiles. Actual fighting is where practice becomes real power. He is not talking about those easy training matches with Orito. Those are not real battles. To grow, one must challenge truly powerful opponents. A very familiar name immediately starts to take shape inside Goro's mind. He has white hair, wears a mask, and goes by Haka's Kanaro, the super genius. Kanaro is his ultimate rival. Since training under Matsuki, Goro has wanted this rematch. But he held back, wanting to fully master his whirlwind technique first. Now he changes his mind completely. Will waiting guarantee a win? Not at all. Is he afraid of losing once? Absolutely not. So why not fight? Goro bows, telling Matsuki that he finally understands. With that fire in his eyes, he might just challenge Kanaro tonight. Yet no cultivation mission to defeat Kanaro pops up for Matsuki. What are the missing conditions? Goro should have a burning desire to win right now. He has the rivalry, the pride, and every reason to fight him. Remembering how Orito triggered his mission, Matsuki notices a major difference. Orito was actively pleading and desperate for his teacher's guidance. He believed he could only ever succeed if Matsuki was there to teach him. Does a mission require the disciple to explicitly demand help from their mentor? If so, Goro's silence makes total sense since he's just fired up to fight. Matsuki decides to wait until Goro inevitably loses to Kanaro before stepping in. That's when he'll let the beaten disciple experience a teacher's true support. After training, Matsuki heads to the main district park for some quiet time. He runs into Minaru and Karin there, who seem to love hanging out. Karin suddenly remembers to ask if the Lord Third offered him a tutoring job. Matsuki nods, confirming the news. She warns him that the boy is famously rebellious. He doesn't even respect his own father, so why would he listen to a tutor? Matsuki just smiles and shares how he has been training young Asuro. Karin finds it absolutely hilarious, especially when the kid tried to slack off. She laughs when she hears how he was tricked into training until total exhaustion. She jokes about the clever Lord Third having such a silly kid. Even Minaru is surprised by Matsuki's knack for making stubborn students cooperate. Not wanting to monopolize the conversation, Matsuki asks how they are doing. They catch up on recent events, their conversation warm and harmonious. He believes a real friendship will develop after a few more chats. That is when he can safely bring up sealing techniques and cursed seals. Without looking obvious, meanwhile, a wild confrontation unfolds at Kanaro's house tonight. Without him around, Goro claims he has arrived, but Kanaro insists he shouldn't have come. Get out, Kanaro yells. Barging in is bad enough, but rushing into the bathroom. What is Goro even doing? Even the usually cool Kanaro cannot hold back. When looking at this intruder, who has snuck into his bath with a frantic look. Naturally, Goro declares he is here for a battle of youth and passion. He flashes a thumbs up, standing right in front of a soap-covered Kanaro. If not for the suds, Kanaro would have already landed a fierce flying kick. right into that irritatingly smug face who rushes into a bathroom at night. Just to challenge someone, even if they fight, at least wait for him to finish. Kanaro retorts, but Goro simply smiles, calling him a worthy, lifelong rival. He grins widely, his sparkling white teeth practically dazzling under the light. He promises to wait outside. Kanaro rubs his forehead in absolute exhaustion. He wonders if his father misjudged Goro, believing the boy would grow stronger and become a truly worthy opponent. If he wants to fight, then fine. It is time to show him the real gap. Kanaro quickly dresses. He heads outside. Let's settle this now, Goro yells, striking a pose. Are they doing hand-to-hand combat? Kanaro asks, well aware of Goro's constant challenges. They have fought since the first grade, sometimes even throwing shuriken. But Goro shakes his head seriously, demanding an all-out formal battle. At full strength, Kanaro highly doubts this academy student has any chance. A seasoned Chunin versus an academy student, Goro just grins, completely confident. Then watch out, Kanaro warns, instantly letting loose for high-speed shuriken. Goro dodges them, but Kanaro has already closed the distance with a punch. Caught a whirlwind, Goro yells, his spinning kick slamming directly into Kanaro's fist. Both leap back, Kanaro's eyes narrow. Goro's reaction speed is unexpectedly fast. His kicking speed has noticeably improved since their duel 2 months ago. How do you like that, Kanaro? Goro laughs, proud of his progress. Kanaro merely smirks, hoping the boy can keep smiling after what comes next. His gaze sharpens. He quickly weaves hand signs, creating 4 shadow clones. The clones execute their own illusion technique, generating dozens of copies. An army of Kanaros charges forward, leaving Goro completely and utterly dumbfounded. He kicks down a dozen illusions. Meanwhile, Kanaro's shadow clones see their chance as Goro struggles to cope. A hand emerges from the ground. Grabbing his ankle, an Earth-style headhunter jutsu drags him down. Before he can react, only his head is above ground. The battle is over. Kanaro says, squatting next to him, but Goro smiles, calling him his ultimate. Rival, you are truly strong, Goro exclaims. Against Hataro, he could at least trade blows, only losing because of the Byakugan, but against Kanaro he fell into a rapid disadvantage after their brief hand-to-hand fight. He was crushed. If you know I'm strong, go train more and graduate first. Kanaro says bluntly. Goro grins, promising to return when he finishes school. Goro laughs about getting stronger. Kanaro feels Goro has selective hearing, telling him not to ignore the latter part. Too lazy to check any further, he releases Goro and heads home. Goro dusts himself off, watches Kanaro walk away, and clenches his fists with determination. He still needs to get much stronger. That intense fight truly broadened his horizons to become the strongest. Though he has a long way to go, he decides to ask Mutsuki-sensei for an even stricter training plan. The next day in ninjutsu class, Mutsuki explains the key points of the clone technique after covering hand signs and chakra guidance, touching briefly on the 3-body technique. Even with only 3 basic ninjutsu to study, there is plenty of theory around them. Kazami-sensei Koda asks, since the main goal of clone technique is to deceive enemies, can he combine it with the transformation technique to make a more convincing illusion? Mutsuki ponders seriously and realizes it is possible. In the original world, someone developed an upgraded version, a certain Herm Jutsu that combined clone deception and transformation perfectly because it involved shadow clones. It was considered a major upgrade. He encourages Kota to give it a try. He explains that ready-made ninjutsu exists because previous generations worked hard to develop them. However, he warns Kota not to use it in real combat until it is perfected. If he creates the Herm Jutsu, that is fine. But if it is bizarre, Mutsuki worries he might get beaten up. Kota nods, planning to discuss the idea with his good buddies, Izuo and Akko. With the wisdom of these top students, a major surprise is guaranteed. After class, Mutsuki receives his system evaluation reward, an Earth release. specifically Earth Flow Wall, though the defensive technique itself is not particularly strong. The system includes Earth-Nature transformation with it. Mutsuki has now mastered all 5 basic nature transformations. After school, on his way to the training ground, Mutsuki unexpectedly runs into Goro, confirming his suspicions. His guess is correct, though it is still somewhat unexpected. A training mission has appeared, requiring him to provide a strength-enhancing plan. The reward depends on completion, and Mutsuki feels rather complicated reading it. He expected the mission would be to defeat Kanaro, but it is just about a plan. Can this even be called a mission? Mutsuki ponders the cause and effect, forming a quick theory that a disciple's own thoughts determine the mission's content. Ordo felt he could not win first place on his own, so his mission was to win. When Ordo learned the competition was returning, he had only 2 weeks, believing he could only win with Mutsuki's help. That created urgency and dependence. Meanwhile, Goro wants to defeat Kanaro, but is in no rush, not thinking he absolutely needs Mutsuki's help. Since they have only known each other a month, Goro feels bad about troubling him. Thus, the mission became this unusual request. Goro politely asks for help with his plan. Thanking him sincerely, Mutsuki replies that it is no trouble at all. Patting Goro's head, seeing him so eager to become stronger makes Mutsuki happy, since a disciple getting stronger is always a teacher's greatest reward. Those words are entirely genuine. Hearing them, Goro feels a warm shift in his heart, realizing he should probably rely on his sensei more. The two of them head to the training ground together, where Ordo has almost finished his tree climbing exercise. He is about to practice water walking, while Goro trains physically and Shinji studies Genjutsu with a shadow clone. Meanwhile, his main body drafts Goro's next routine, building detailed plan. He cannot just slap this together or simply multiply the boys' workload just because he wants to get strong. He must respect the kid's physical limits. As dusk falls, training wraps up and the guide is ready. He calls Goro over. He hands over the routine. Instantly, the system triggers his mission completed rewards. He gets 20 rare elixirs, pure physical recovery. They even cure hidden injuries, bringing him far better rewards than he expected. Honestly, this quest was incredibly simple. He would have been happy with a minor boost to his chakra. Getting 20 special elixirs is an absolute pleasant surprise. Now he is even more excited to see what Arito's tougher mission will yield. His mind races. He pretends to search through his standard ninja pouch, secretly pulling a glowing training elixir straight from his system space. He hands it over to Goro. He tells Goro to go ahead and eat it, smiling warmly. Of his 3 students, the kid needs it most because his training is just too brutal and intense. Goro takes the pill, asking what it is. The teacher tells him to trust him. The boy swallows it down. Instantly, a deep wave of pure warmth begins to spread inside his body. A warm current flows through his limbs, and his fatigue is completely washed away. He feels incredibly refreshed, realizing this must be a highly valuable medicine. His entire body feels completely rejuvenated and much lighter than before. After all, specialized pills are crafted through highly rare and costly processes. Basic ration food pills are cheap, only restoring a tiny bit of chakra. But anything advanced is incredibly expensive. Goro knows this pill is rare. The teacher tells him not to overthink it since he already swallowed it. He keeps quiet because he honestly has no idea how much it actually costs. Since it is a system item, standard shops like Kata probably do not sell them. Suddenly, a system screen pops up. It reveals he gifted an elixir to his student, and get this, Goro's massive gratitude triggers a legendary critical reward. He gets the first 3 inner gates, plus the cultivation memories. The knowledge floods his brain, letting him feel the physical gates he can unlock. Even if it is only the first 3, he is extremely satisfied with this. He could unlock more through practice, but he won't. There are better paths. Besides, Goro has ordinary ninjutsu talent, but his raw physical potential is massive. His taijutsu talent is incredible, if both trained for decades and open the final. Gate of Death, Goro could severely wound Sage Pathmarrow. Meanwhile, his father Ma Doji failed to defeat all 7 of the Mist Blade wielders. Stopping at the first 3 gates is perfect for him anyway. They cause the absolute least amount of physical damage, while higher gates demand far too much. Deeply moved, Goro vows to his teacher that he will become the strongest. Tears stream down as he realizes the master hid the truth to avoid burdening him. The teacher kept quiet, and if Goro had not noticed the immediate physical boost, he might have just claimed it was candy. He hands the boy a handkerchief and smiles. He truly believes Goro will reach the absolute top, even without his guidance. The boy's sheer work ethic would naturally carry him to the peak of martial arts. In this lifetime, Goro is destined to surpass all limits, fueled by mutual trust. The teacher watches him leave, wondering when one of his disciples will finally reach trust level 4. He decides not to visit the main district today to casually run into Minaru and Karin. Instead, he stays in the southern Mirror Forest, marking over a month since his sudden transmigration. Though he has planned to develop the spiral orb since the beginning, time has been short. Recently, he has studied numerous books on sealing techniques and cursed seals to absorb the knowledge. It will take time to master them, but he also wants to perfect the spiral orb. Using the detailed creation process and his advanced shape transformation mastery, it should be quite simple. His primary goal is not combat, but finding other practical applications. This orb is for other applications. Meanwhile, Orito asks when they will start their nature transformation training, questioning while pacing back and forth along the river. He notes that he has been reading the handbook his master provided every single night. He is desperate to try, finding daily tree climbing and water walking quite boring. The Nature Transformation Handbook has deeply inspired him, fueling his passion. Orito feels his fire release style is about to improve. The teacher asks with a smile. He asks if the boy has completed his current training, grinning at his impatience. Orito nods eagerly, claiming he can already jog on the surface. The teacher decides to test him. He promises to make the water walking exercise much more interesting while forming rapid hand signs. Unleashing a water dragon bullet, a massive beast coils through the current. It stirs the river into turbulent waves, causing Orito to stumble and crash. Falling into the water, Orito gulps a mouthful before his laughing teacher pulls him out. He tells him he has not perfected it, but Orito complains about the sudden surprise. Orito complains because a classmate and a younger clan junior are watching him fail. Desperate to save face, he is told to try again with a gentle smile. Walking on water tests steady chakra control, especially with a dragon interfering. Stable output proves real chakra control, though Orito remains stubborn about it. His stubbornness cannot match his lack of skill, and he falls in minutes later. Blaming his ill-fitting shoes, Orito spits out water, taking them off by the bank. He decides to go barefoot. The teacher only smiles silently as Orito falls in again. The boy blames it on staying up way too late reading the handbook last night. He claims that tiredness is causing his clumsy mistakes before stretching out his limbs. Rolling his neck and pushing up his sleeves, he seriously vows to get real. Then splash, another dive into the river. His master pulls him out once more. Orito looks completely blank and silent. The teacher reassures him that it is fine. He jokingly asks if Orito is just learning to swim, telling Shinji to continue without them. The master squats down beside the dejected boy, asking if he feels too discouraged. Gazing into the distance, he notes that comparisons can often be painful. While Orito has barely started control training, Shinji is already rocketing ahead. Shinji skipped tree climbing entirely because water walking came so naturally to him. He glides across the water effortlessly, even with the teacher trying to interfere. Seeing the junior perform so well, Orito remains stubborn and highly competitive. He knows he is slightly behind Shinji, but but believes he should not be this far. The master mentions tutoring at the shogun's estate last weekend. He reminds him about the shogun's younger son, who is slightly older than Orito. Orito nods, confirming he knows Sira Ashuro, who is just a single year older. During Sira Ashuro's training, the master also used the water dragon bullet to interfere. He plunged into the river dozens of times that afternoon, finally lasting 5 minutes on his last stretch. Watching Asuro push himself, Orito can only blink in sheer disbelief. He never expected an elite honor student like Asuro to look so miserable, yet still keep pushing through such intense pressure all afternoon. A newfound respect blooms inside him. He had no idea Asuro possessed this level of true grit back when they first met. "Teacher, I finally understand. I'm fully rested, so let's start training," he says. With determination, if Asuro can push through, then why can't he? He must defeat Kanero right in front of Ren to secure the top spot. "Eat something first," Kazami advises, offering Orito some sweet dango bought earlier. "Thanks, teacher," the energetic boy shouts out, happily devouring the treat before marching back into the river. Suddenly, a notification pops up. Kazami gifted dango to Orito because the boy was extremely grateful. A critical hit rewards the teacher with a brand new skill, Chef. This skill makes any dish so delicious it causes hallucinations. A life skill actually unlocked, catching him slightly off guard. After all, disciple rewards are usually completely random. Goro's training previously yielded water nature transformation mastery, making Orito dropping a cooking skill a complete mystery. Still, Kazami is thrilled with the outcome. The skill description proves it is exceptionally powerful. Being a great cook is a massive advantage. If only he had unlocked this culinary talent much earlier. He could have pretended his kitchen was broken to cook at Minaru's place instead. Then Kira and Minaru would have actively befriended him. He could also quickly boost his disciples' favorability. Who wouldn't love a teacher with exceptional instruction and world-class cooking? Once training ends, he returns to the main district early to test how delicious his newly acquired skill truly is. He selects 2 simple dishes, classic egg fried rice and freshly fried tempura. He has made fried rice before, but tempura is completely uncharted territory. The instant he picks up a fresh egg, he feels a strange physical enhancement flow through his hands. Although his technique looks identical to before, every movement is incredibly precise. When the rice is done, the golden grains glow so brightly he wonders if he added fluorescent powder. He takes a single spoonful to taste it. The rich tenderness of the eggs, firm rice, and vibrant green onions burst spectacularly across his tongue. He has never eaten fried rice this delicious. In fact, he briefly sees a rooster running and soaring through open grass, feeling completely free and exhilarated. The dish is so mind-blowing it actually triggers illusions. He shakes his head to snap back into reality and prepares to make the tempura. He whisks the batter, heats the oil, coats the fresh shrimp, and lowers them in. The batter turns golden, releasing an incredible fragrance that fills the room and drifts outside. He scoops them onto a plate and sits down. Just as he prepares to take a bite, a knock sounds at his door. Right next door, Kira is preparing dinner. When she catches an alluring aroma, "Minaru, do you smell that?" He nods, confirming a highly tempting fried scent. She inhales deeply, completely captivated. How exactly was this dish made? She has fried tempura in her own kitchen before, but none of her cooking has ever produced an aroma this crispy and perfect. "I must go check this out," she decides. Stepping outside, she traces the savory smell straight to the house, located just to the right of Minaru's. "Wait, isn't this Kazami's place?" "Minaru, come out. Surely this belongs to that." They visit academy teacher Kazami Magetsu's place. Though they only met a few days ago, he left a deep impression. Minoru agrees, saying, "Let's go visit the neighbors." She pulls him over and knocks. Inside, Kazami sets the shrimp in a bowl, puts down his chopsticks, and opens the door. Karin immediately asks if he's cooking dinner, and Minoru apologizes for the intrusion after seeing his apron. But it's fine. Kazami smiles, saying he just finished and they both came at the perfect time. He invites them in. Karin follows the amazing aroma straight to the table and spots the golden tempura, her eyes lighting up. That is the exact smell. Then she notices the rich fried rice too, calling Kazami a hidden genius chef. She could smell it from next door. As she praises him, Kazami pours them water, saying he's not a professional, he just cooks because he's usually alone, so he tells them to try it. He sets out the cutlery. She eagerly asks if they can, staring at the tempura. It looks like he hasn't started yet. Kazami just smiles and picks up a piece. Minoru thanks him, while Karin excitedly declares she's ready to eat with great ceremony, popping a steaming hot piece right into her mouth as she bites. Through the crispy layer, the incredibly tender shrimp inside widens her eyes. Then something magical happens. She seems to drift into a deep daze, arriving in the ocean, surrounded by a mysterious, magnificent blue world where she's a free, carefree fish swimming happily all day long. She suddenly snaps back, almost thinking she was caught in a genjutsu, but she realizes no one present could have cast one on her. Kazami, how did you make this tempura? Did you add any strange mushrooms? She asks, puzzled, having heard of ninjas who picked wild mushrooms in the forest, only to end up at Kata Hospital still saying they had too many branches and leaves and needed a trim, but Kazami just laughs. Explaining the simple recipe, he sketches the process briefly. Just then, she notices Minoru seems to have taken only one bite of the fried rice, staying quiet. She pats him, asking what is wrong. Eating wild vegetables, he replies. Instinctively, where would he find wild vegetables here? After eating the fried rice, he felt like he had transformed into a wild chicken living in the mountains, he explains. And yes, the rice is actually glowing. She had been focused entirely on the tempura, so she only now realizes the dish is glowing. This is the best fried rice he has ever eaten, Minoru says, scooping up more.